Hello and welcome. Godless Granny is about a lot of things. I talk about any issue that affects me or on which I have strong opinions. Most frequently, that's religious issues, women's issues, transgender issues, and political issues. I believe in social justice and equality for all. I feel that everyone has a right to believe what they want, but that right doesn't absolve you of criticism of your beliefs. Thus, I criticize both outlying religious ideas and mainstream ideology. I welcome theists to discuss or debate their issues with me live on stream. Contact me on Twitter if you'd like to do that. I was a Christian for 42 years. In my last decade as a believer, I became increasingly liberal, seeing that as being more consistent with biblical ideas. But eventually, the cognitive dissonance between liberal thought and certain parts of the Bible brought me to evolve my theology. I still hung on to the inerrancy of the Bible and continued to look for ways to interpret the Bible to fit reality. But when it was proven to me that the biblical flood did not happen, thank you, Aaron Ra, Vice Rhino, and Pelagia, there was no longer anywhere to go. I had to let go of inerrancy. But without the Bible, my faith had no foundation. And then I left the faith. I have since met people of faith who reject inerrancy. I find this a more honest faith, but I also find it a purely human construct. Why believe in a God if you have to make up the God and what the God is all about? I now criticize the very religious beliefs that I held for decades, as I now realize that they not only do not originate from a God that loves me, but that they were dangerous in that they limited me. They limited me as a person by discouraging thought and learning. It restricted my relationships and my ability to develop myself as a person. I hope to do several things here. I hope to reach others of my generation, as we are the primary people that are still holding on to this outdated ideology. Second, I hope to reach the younger generation, imploring them not to follow in my footsteps. And third, I hope to show how the younger generation who has already left the faith can reach their parents. What arguments did I find convincing that will likely convince their parents? So come on in, let's have a chat.
Good morning, my beauties and bees. Hello, everybody. It is me, Miss Bumblebee. I hope everybody's doing well today. It's good to see all those familiar faces in the live chat. It's been a whirlwind of a morning. I got a couple of things to go over. The first of which is I had to order the peppermint mocha because while most people are all about most girls, like, oh, pumpkin spice, peppermint mocha is the key to my heart. I can't have it all the time, but seasonally, mm, I do like that. So that's not a big deal. A second thing, I got the channel's got its first real copyright strike. Yay! Remember when we were talking about the different deadliest animals or whatever, and they were talking about our deadliest prehistoric animals or whatever it was, and they were talking about the Titanus, the terror birds, right? And I brought up the video of the Siriema, the bird that with the toy lizard bouncing it off the rocks. That video got got shut down. It got the owner of the clip. So it gives me the option to contact them. They actually made a claim against me for using it. So I got to contact them and see if I can get them to drop it. I'm pretty sure that I can probably make a reasonable case to say, you know what, I was just looking for videos of these birds to show people how they hunted in modern, how their relatives hunted in modern time, and I pulled up your video. I apologize. I can remove it or replace it with something else, and hopefully they'll just let me drop it. Um, Honestly, yeah, that's why. Remember, about a year ago, I launched a channel called originally it was called Battle for Gaia, but then I changed the name to Breeze Bestiaries. But I tried to launch a channel with animal videos, talking about animals and explaining about animal science and just in general. And every video when I try to publish it, it would get a thing on it, and they would remove it, and it just got to be exhausting because when you get a strike, right? In Battle for Gaia, well, I got a strike over there before I ever. I mean, this is my first one on this channel, but trying to do the animal channel was. I mean, I just gave up on it. I still have that shell of a channel over there where I was making videos, putting a lot into the production and trying to make it engaging, but can't do it. Can't do it because I guess fair use is limited on animal videos. I don't know. Yeah, I have to when I go through to find videos to watch though. They either have to be from like a science publication web like a channel or from like a person's visit to the zoo or a safari trip or something like that, like a private person's, family videos that they published on YouTube. That's fine. You can do that, but you cannot. It's the photographers and the nature filmmakers and stuff. They're like, no, you cannot use our content to do anything. It's like, okay, okay. So you got to be careful where you get it from, and it just gets tedious. You can do like little 15-second clips and smack together something all disheveled, which is what a lot of these animal YouTube channels do. Some better than others, but I didn't want to do just uh, just a channel where I was talking about the animals. I wanted to actually, watch the documentary or the action and make my commentary on it and explain some of the science behind the animal's musculature or its ecology or its behavior, psychology, all this stuff that I wanted to just dive into and sink my teeth into, and I just couldn't because you're not allowed to sit there and analyze nature videos on YouTube. I don't know why. I think that's a niche that you can't do, and and that's what I would love to do. You can get narrators from, the star power narrators and stuff, which is fine. But I want to like with you guys live to go through and like pick apart a nature documentary, and also put a spotlight on fake documentary stuff. Because a lot of the like the monster bug wars and stuff, those aren't in the jungle. Those are on a set. They build a little mini jungle and release captive bred insects and stuff into it and have them interact. It's not in the wild. Um, Maybe not all captive bred. There probably some of them are wild caught insects too. But I can't talk about that because they will shut me down every time. Anyway, that's my rant about that for this morning. And yeah, so that was original. I mean, honestly, that was the original idea for this channel. Was the debunking. It was originally for bug videos, but it's expanded. you know. But yeah, it was debunking bug myths and stuff like that. It was hard to use their videos. That's why I became more and more leaning in towards doing reaction content and stuff like that because you can't do like in-depth analysis of like real works of in the field. Like I can't in the overlap between nature photography and real science. It's tenuous, right? And sometimes the nature photographers try to bend the narrative by what they show you and what they don't. It's the same way as like when you see, just an example, like when you see the videos of a protest or whatever, and like trying to make it sound like there's a lot of upheaval on it, but if you zoomed out, you'd see that there's only like 12 people there, things like that. But they do that with nature photography and documentary filmmaking. I do want to, and not specifically the number of individuals, but the circumstances, right? Um, anyway, that's my rant about that. I don't want to spend the whole morning talking about that because I got something that also happened to see this morning because it was in my Twitter feed while I was getting ready. I put my makeup on and stuff, so I was reading it. A couple of weeks ago, and just this last Wednesday for my Creation Watch people. There was a video that was released. Yeah, I agree, Sandy. It's best for me to concentrate on my efforts here anyway. And you've had more time for other panels. Yeah, I'm just kind of spreading myself out over to more channels and spreading and talking about Vandalia. Speaking of nature, I'm going to be on Vandalia's next week, and we're going to kind of do this, but still. So we're going to talk about spiders and spider evolution. I'm using the same resources that I used when I helped R and Ra make his epic arachnid series. So it should be really good. We got a lot of deep information. But yeah, a couple weeks ago, I made a Catholic video about the Pope, about Pope John Paul being an exorcist. Now, recently, the, uh, the current Pope has decided that trans people should be able to receive all the amenities that the Catholic Church has to offer, like baptisms and stuff like that, and that can be part of the church. And yeah, and it's not. I mean, it's the Catholic Church. I'm not like simping for them or anything, but let me share. I don't share my Facebook feed or my Facebook feed. See, I'm such a freaking boomer. Facebook feed. My MySpace. I don't share my MySpace with you youngins very often, but no, it's my Twitter feed. I it's because it's called X now. I don't like to do that, but I love this. So, new Pope has dismissed U.S. Bishop Strickland, Texas, a prominent conservative who has criticized his papacy, the Vatican says. So, the Pope basically shut down this bishop. Now, Matt Walsh was waffling about this. We all know Matt Walsh, the critique, the public critique of trans people in general, women like myself, and what is a woman anyway? What is a woman? I don't know. And then someone explains it to me. It's like, I don't get it. That's a lot of work. Can you just tell me, just tell me what a woman is? And they explain it to me, and he's like, yeah, that's so complicated, right? What is a woman? And he doesn't it's just a circle. You watch this and you see the frustration in the interviewers' faces too, and that's just what they what Matt allowed to be shown. But yeah, he's a tool bag. He's seethed about this too. So yeah, but this is the bishop. He does look like like what you would think a bishop from Texas would look like. But the best part about this are all these seething American freaking Catholics down here. It's like, people, like my brother in Christ, do you not know that you're not allowed to disagree with the Pope? You're a heretic. These people are Catholic, they're heretics anyway. If they're not Catholic, then why do we give a shit? But I mean, this is a page right out of the globalist playbook. Political persecution and silencing critics. I truly despise this Pope. I hate how every other post on Elon's freaking Twitter is a goddamn ad. Unless you have a blue check mark, I guess. Look, these are all seething blue check marks. There you have it. He criticized the Pope, probably with reason, because yes, the Pope is corrupt. No, that's not how the Catholic Church works. That's why there's been so many freaking schisms, because that's not how the Catholic Church works. What the Pope says goes. That's it. End of story. You don't get to criticize the Pope. It's not a thing that you're allowed to do as just a citizen in the Catholic Church. You're not, and you people are all just going straight to hell. Catholicism. This Pope is a woke leftist. I doubt Planet Memes with the clown face is actually a Catholic. They're just someone who's butthurt. The Pope is an evil communist. Yes, the communist Pope who wants to be on top of the hierarchy. Hierarchies kind of crumble under a communist system. Or they're supposed to. That's the nature of the system. If hierarchies aren't crumbling, you're not communisting, right? But I digress. The Pope has taken off his mask and he's a full-on globalist. I think he was actually set on like a NATO meeting or something recently too. He is the most political pope I've seen. Pope Strickland calls out the Pope, and he doesn't like it. So Pope Strickland, Bishop Strickland. It's the irony of this guy being from Texas and being named Strickland. I wonder if he has like investment in like the propane industry. Anyway, that's enough of that. I'm getting way into my cryptic corner time. I just wanted to have some good laughs with you guys about updates from the Catholic Church. Things are looking a little looking up really as far as the culture goes because the Catholic Church has a huge cultural influence. So, um, regardless, let's get over to Cryptic Corner because we have a murder mystery today. Yeah, a murder mystery. Maybe it's a murder. Maybe it's not. Let's find out. I'll see you guys over in Cryptic Corner. Good evening, my beauties and bees. And we are playing with the kitty today on Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I am your host, Miss Bumblebee, and do we have a werewolf on our hands in the state of Texas, or is it something else? Let's find out today on Cryptic Corner, where we're going to investigate the death of Charles Whitley fairly recently. Because some people think maybe this gentleman was mauled by a werewolf. Let's dive right in without further ado. All right, here we go. So, let me plug the channel first because I don't want to get a copyright strike from this person. I doubt they do that. This is a small channel too, like mine, so I imagine they have some courtesy about doing responses and stuff. I can only imagine. The Adventure Guide is where we're looking. Small channel and real case, the Texas werewolf killing, Dogman, Bigfoot, Hellhound, Polar Bear. What did it? Polar bears in Texas. Let's talk about it though. Let's find out. You guys ready for this? I hope you guys are ready. Is it Ted Cruz? Ted Cruz is Eddie Munster, who was a werewolf. Oh my gosh, I think you just opened up a whole new conspiracy topic on this. So yeah, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what they say here. All right.
For Whiteley's body in a wooded area.
Go.
28-year-old Christopher Whiteley was reported missing Thursday afternoon.
28-year-old man died in an attack.
Found Christopher Whiteley's body in a wooded area.
His body was later found in a nearby wooded area.
A 28-year-old was found dead in Hood County from what appears to have been a mountain lion
Christopher Whiteley by a creek bed in Lypin.
That victim, 28-year-old Christopher Whiteley, he was found in a wooded area.
A warning for people in Lypin after a deadly mountain lion attack.
from what appears to have been a mountain lion attack.
It says several several wildlife experts, including Texas Parks and Wildlife, came to the same conclusion that that victim was not killed by a mountain lion. Preliminary results from the Tarrant County Medical Examiner rule that that victim was attacked by a wild animal.
Right. So it was a big news story in that area of Texas, right? Covered by a lot of people. Now, Lipin, Texas. Yeah, maybe I should pull that up real quick. No, we're just now getting into this, but Lipin, Texas is like a little tiny town that is west, like directly west of Fort Worth. Yeah, let me just pull it over here so you guys can see where we're journeying today. Okay, so here's Fort Worth, Dallas Fort Worth area. It's huge. I've only ever been up in this area. I've never been to Fort Worth. I've only been to the Dallas area. But Lipin is this little bitty dot on the map right here. Not much to it at all. It is easy to explore though. And here's our wooded areas right here and here. So we will eventually drop down in there and have a look around. Ooh, Texas, aren't you beautiful? Look at that. Ooh, Texas. Right. Everybody has scrap yards in their yard. There's some wooded areas right here. But we're gonna get into this. Don't worry. It'll be fun. Of course, you get the werewolf.
On December
Wolf
2nd
man.
of 2020, 28-year-old Christopher Whiteley walked out the door of his home at around 9 a.m. to head off to work. He was in the custom of giving his girlfriend a goodbye kiss every morning before leaving, but not this time. The couple were still fuming over a heated debate they had from the night before. It seems that not long after Christopher left the house, he encountered something that made him flee. To flee away from both his home and away from the road that he was headed to.
Okay, so we do have some roads and stuff here that we're going to be able to sort of pin down our locations a little bit better with, so that's good. I love doing these live with you guys. This is the first time there's been an actual murder, though. So we're looking at Howell Road in Lipin, Texas. Howell Road, Lipin, Texas. Okay. Got it. Not a lot of, yeah, it runs quite a distance, though. Alright, we'll continue.
Ended up southwest of the house instead of running back into the house. He set his backpack on the ground, which indicates he was trying to calm someone or something down, but it didn't work. Something with thin claws grabbed hold of him and tried to brace him while it began to rip into his throat with its teeth. The scratches were not from branches, not wide enough to be human fingernails, nor were they lacerations from a mountain lion. The bite marks were...
So we've ruled out a lot of stuff here without giving it its due. But werewolves are quite the leap.
Massive, and they rule out almost any known animal in the U.S. This is one of the wildest cases of a death where those who point to a werewolf actually have the strongest argument by the facts in the case. I am in no way saying...
There are no facts about werewolves because werewolves are not real, my dude. There are not werewolf facts. Where you can make up whatever you want about werewolves. Did you know they pee purple? Like when they urinate, it's purple? And I'm not making that up. That's real werewolf lore, right? That's not something I'm pulling out of my pista here. So you can make up whatever you want about a werewolf and it becomes true. It becomes folklore. You can insert any kind of folklore you want. The silver bullet thing didn't come into play until the Wolfman. Before that, the only time a silver bullet was used, and it wasn't even on what you really call a werewolf, was the Beast of Javudan, which was not ever once claimed. Well, maybe people in fiction have claimed it was a werewolf, but like in actual reports from the time where they were dealing with the animal, nobody was implying that it was a werewolf. It was an animal that they killed with a silver bullet, or allegedly killed with a silver bullet. That's maybe where they got the idea from in the Wolfman. However, it's just you just add into the folklore. It doesn't. It's not like a natural
I
occurrence.
believe it was a werewolf, but I will
Oh.
do my best to present their argument as fair and open-minded as I can. Now, before we begin the account of what happened, let's run through a quick scenario. You are a limber 28-year-old male. Let's say you are walking up a creek bed when you see a vicious dinosaur the size of a dog headed your way. There are small trees and medium trees that you can easily jump into to get up and away from a dog-sized.
Oh, baby, you don't know much about dromaeosaurs if you think you're climbing a tree to get away from them. A dog-sized dromaeosaur is going to be right up that tree after you, probably a bit faster than you. Uh, aw. No, dinosaurs dromaeosaurs specifically are thought to have been quite arboreal, very mobile appendages and stuff. So yeah, they're good at climbing. Uh, the wings would make them even better at climbing because they wouldn't look like this. They'd have to help them uh, kind of float and glide, I guess.
Dinosaur. And there is thickets that you can get down on your hands and knees and crawl under. Which would you naturally do to get away from a dog-sized dinosaur? Would you go up a tree? Or would you get down on your hands and knees on its level? Okay, now what if the dinosaur was slightly or fairly taller than you? Would you go up a short tree? Or this time would you get down on your hands and knees and crawl under a thicket? Now remember your answer and the scenario because you will be using it soon to weigh the evidence.
Okay, goodness gracious. So there's a lot to unpack there. Crawling under the thickets. I kind of get the impression that our guy is trying to lead you to a certain conclusion here. And all the culprits that we're going to talk about, the mountain lion, the dogs, the bears, all of that stuff, the werewolf, uh, in those scenarios, we will unroll the dinosaur narrative that you laid out here. So don't you worry.
By the way, if you're new to this channel, this is the Adventure Guide, and I welcome all of you.
Oh, I'm having fun with you,
Our
Adventure
victim
Guide.
in this account was Christopher Allen Whiteley, who was born September 11th of 1992. He had a bad temper and went down the wrong path, becoming addicted to methamphetamine. Christopher and his girlfriend.
That is fucking rough. Meth is no joke in the Midwest, from Texas to freaking Minnesota. It's a struggle that the underclass has ongoing to self-medicate for the freaking society that we live in. So it's a sad state of affairs, but it it's uh, it's relevant here too, unfortunately. So we know a lot about how people act and react on methamphetamine. Some of the bizarre behaviors people engage in when under the influence of that particular drug. Yeah, I don't think there's a right path for meth at all. Uh, and Unfortunately, it's like a plague. It's not as bad as it used to be. About in the late 90s and early 2000s in Missouri, where I grew up, it was horrendous. Like everybody was like making meth and getting busted for making meth. was insane. Like all the people I went to school with, and people that people in my family, people I'm related to.
Samantha Tyler Messina, who goes by Tyler, had 2 children together, but they were taken away because of abuse and their drug habit. Christopher was reported to have beaten Tyler with a pipe once in 2015, and then later he attacked Tyler with a shank.
Oh, damn. Yeah, this guy's a real winner. You know, attacking your girl with a shank. Oh.
He was arrested and confessed to the attack and a number of other cases of abuse on Tyler. He fully admitted to it, and it appears he did so in hopes to get help and change.
Well, that he owns up to it. That's good. No, that's great. Uh, uh, Something like that you're trying to become a better person in regards to, I can get on board with that. However, I don't know that you can ever, if so he's still with this woman, right? He beat her with a pipe, tried to stab her, or did stab her. I don't know if there's any redemption for that for me from a partner. I would not continue a relationship with someone who beat me with a pipe and stabbed me. Never. Uh, it's just not in my nature. I can't deal with that kind of. I've had so many intense people in my life that I just don't. I don't think I could deal with somebody who was explosive like that again. Yeah.
It seems like he was burning out on his behavior. He confessed to tying Tyler up and not allowing her to have food or water for days. All of this was too much for law enforcement to allow Christopher to just get help and return to society. So he was charged and found guilty of second-degree felony aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. When he got out of prison on June 3rd of 2020, he didn't know how to drive and had to leave extra early every morning to hitchhike to work, but he did so faithfully. He knew one person that would stop and pick him up every morning if he was out on the road when this guy drove by. The driveway where Christopher lived was so long and ran along the road for about 1/10 of a mile, but Christopher had a shortcut to help assure he would be out on the street in plenty of time to get a ride. Christopher was both working in the oil fields and painting houses.
Did it edit out Tsunami's comment? Can we show that? 'Cause I'm not down with that. Because I don't see the first part on my Streamlabs, so I don't know. That's weird. Yeah, fuck him. You take accountability. You don't get. Accountability is not a reset button, right? Sure, you can build things back up and build yourself back up and build your relationships back up, but it's not a reset button. And you don't. And nobody that you've tried to murder owes you anything. But he's living with this woman, and he said he kissed her goodbye every morning. And now he's hitchhiking to work. Yeah.
And putting away his money. He saved up enough to buy a Chevy Blazer and fix it up. His mother, Kimberly Spurl, had scheduled time to help Christopher learn to drive. He was just weeks away from never having to hitchhike again, but until then, he had to perform.
Can you still hitchhike in Texas, John? You can't hitchhike any of the states that I've been in up here in the Midwest. You get busted real quick trying to catch a ride. The police will pick you up within 20 minutes of it being reported that you're out there with your thumb out. They will come and grab you. Can you do that in Texas? Maybe you can. I don't know, Texas, but this is 2020, so it's like fairly recently too. So
perform this morning ritual of cutting over to the road and getting picked up. On December 2nd of 2020, as we stated earlier, around 9 a.m., he began heading out to the road.
All right, it's 9 a.m. starting our day. All right, so what was bath salts? I'm missing some context here about the people eating someone else's face and all that. But no, I lived in a trailer park in Missouri for a couple of years when I was in my early 20s, and I can confirm that meth heads do go on like rampages uh, and have to get like talked down from the cops from doing crazy shit. They're like out of their mind. So I've experienced that firsthand. And I've seen the guy uh, holding his child inside his like shed outside his trailer with the cops spotlighting all their guns on him. Got a freaking knife and screaming, and yeah, it's insane what these drugs can do to people, what they can do to a mind. Let's see what else we got. Dudes in Toronto make portable meth labs in 2 liter pop bottles. They can be highly explosive and could injured by collectors. Yeah, so by bottle collectors. Yes, they used to do those and they'd stash them up underneath like bridges and stuff here. So like when the people would come through doing the highway cleanups, the volunteers or whatever, the highway people, they keep finding them, and they've had some of them I think exploded and stuff. You know, 44 states do not have laws against hitchhiking. 44 states do not have laws against hitchhiking. Only New York, Nevada, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Utah, and Wyoming. Really, I was always like told that no, you can't hitchhike in Illinois and Missouri because the cops will pick you up. I've seen cops picking up hitchhikers, but I don't know if they were doing them right though. I've hitched around Western Europe. Glad I did. Another reason never to go to the Midwestern United States. Um, no escape by thumb. It's illegal to be on a roadway in Texas, but not hitchhiking. Probably won't stop cops from harassing you, though. Texas cops are the worst at respecting constitutional rights. Interstates are the exception. The feds control those. The folks are not allowed to hitchhike on the interstate. You can hitchhike in Texas as long as you're not pregnant and seeking health care. I am a believer in the paranormal and supernatural. That's cool, Eddie. We welcome all kinds of people here. So you can. This idea is that this is going to be a werewolf. So we're going to find out. Uh, my ex was misdiagnosed as having ADHD when he was young. Self-medicated with amphetamines, and when he got closer to 30, got a proper diagnosis of schizophrenia, but by then he was addicted to it. Yeah, that sucks. Turned into a whole vicious cycle, and there's no breaking free from it. Some of that stuff you can't just wean yourself off of. It's
Catch a ride. He grabbed his blue and white backpack and he went out the door. He normally trudged up the driveway heading north and cut across the wooded section at the bend of the driveway to save time. But Christopher never came home that day. He refused to answer any of Tyler's calls or return texts. Still, it was unlike him not to return home. The next day, Christopher's friend filed a missing persons report, and Hood County sheriffs began their investigation that evening. They would have to figure out who picked up Christopher that morning and what they did with him. Tyler told the sheriffs that Christopher had been complaining of chest pains for the last few weeks. So the sheriffs began their investigation by walking the driveway, but offered little to no clues. Then one officer had the sense to search the creek bed. As he followed the creek bed south, he spied the blue and white backpack sitting against a cedar tree. But south of the home, going the wrong direction. Christopher should have been going north towards Howell Road. Sheriffs began to swarm around the backpack, But the trail of clues went cold. That was until one sheriff caught a glimpse of something in the dense thicket. It was only 15 feet away, but near impossible to see. The sheriff got on his hands and knees and looked under the thicket. Deep within was the body of Christopher. According to the sheriffs, the brush was so thick, it was a miracle they ever found him. It turned out to be a horrifying and grisly sight to behold. The county sheriffs had seen a number of murders, car accidents, and other deaths, but none of them could hold a candle to what they were looking at.
Yeah, and we're gonna again focus on the injuries of the victim here. It's the throat injuries, some scratches on the chest. He was shirtless. His pants were half torn off. And yeah, so that's what we're going with right now. I have my own theories on this, which I will elucidate on in a bit.
Christopher's neck had been torn out from one ear to the other. Blood patterns on his clothing and on the ground document he was standing on his feet when his neck was torn apart. According to Lieutenant Johnny Rose of Hood County, quote, "The blood evidence showed that he was attacked while he was standing up. It wasn't something where he was lying down, passed out, or asleep or whatever. He was standing when he was attacked. Those injuries are consistent with an animal ripping out someone's throat." End quote. The blood pattern leaving his body, the puncture marks and lacerations, the damage to his neck.
Okay, and I'm not freaking Dexter here with the blood splatter analysis and stuff, but I do know animals, and you guys know that. So that's what I'm going to focus on here is my animal knowledge, not my forensic knowledge. I have my own ideas about what happened to this guy, so we'll get to that.
All ruled out a weapon. According to the Tarrant County medical examiner, Susan J. Rowe, whatever created the damage to Christopher's neck consisted of, quote, punctures and lacerations. She also stated it was a match for an attack by an animal, not a weapon. That is now both the county sheriffs and the medical examiner saying it was not a weapon, but an animal.
I don't disagree that the injuries could have been inflicted by an animal. I agree that the injuries were likely inflicted by an animal. Coyotes are more likely to attack than a cougar, especially in Texas, where cougars are exceedingly rare. There's never been a recorded account of a cougar attack in Texas that I'm aware of. California's got quite a few, but the idea of this guy, the condition he was found in and things, I got thoughts on it. So we're gonna dig into that.
She also stated in her opinion it appeared to be consistent with a mountain lion. To top it off, Christopher had thin, narrow scratches on his arms, back, chest, forehead, and down the left side of his face. They were, quote, superficial scratches, and not wide like human nails, but thin and also not deep like a lion, which would leave a laceration. It was more like a clawed hand or paw was trying to hold him still while driving its jaws in for the attack.
I like how they used the picture of the werewolf there. Did you see that? I know it flashed through it quick, but it's subliminal. Watch.
While driving its jaws in
there you go.
Attack. Another outlandish fact was that Christopher had no shirt on. Look at the date, December 2nd, and it was around 9 a.m. According to records, it was 44 degrees outside. Christopher's jeans were bloody from the knees up.
Yeah, but he's a Texan too, so I mean, 44 degrees doesn't require a shirt in Texas. It's no, coyotes are scared. Are scared. A injured or sick mountain lion will fall or will fuck with you. Depends on who you are, though. Coyotes will try to, like, there's some that like in areas that lose their fear of humans, like in reserves and stuff, and they are more likely to inflict injuries on people than mountain lions. Mountain lions, even in those conditions, never lose that fear of humans. like coyotes and bears. It's something with caniforms, the way their brains function. This raider brain that they get habituated to human company, and then that's why. Oh, people wear coats. I don't know. My ex and her mother were from Dallas, and they never wore coats. They wore shorts and t-shirts all year long. Even up here in the upper Midwestern winters, they would never wear coats. They would never wear the most they would wear was like hoodies and stuff. It was kind of weird. Anyway,
Up and they were torn. The fly was open and the shorts, not sure if they meant boxer shorts or not, but they were pulled out of the area. And according to one investigator, Toby Fries, it was like, quote, as if an animal was pulling at them or dragging him. Believe it or not, one bizarre
and that is important to know. Yeah,
indicator of dog attacks is a nude body.
right. Because dogs are pursuit predators, right? They're not ambush predators. They are built to drag you down. That's what their hunting technique is. They they will grab a hold of your extremities. In the wild, they grab. Usually, there's when a pack of canids are attacking, right? They will have individuals that hang on to the hindquarters and try to drag the because most mammals their back legs are their power, right? So they try to drag them down by that, their buttocks and their hind legs, and they will persistently try to do that. When you're wearing clothes, they're pulling your pants off. That's what they do. They'll also try to grab your arms and your shoulders to pull you down to the ground. I'm sure you've all seen the training videos of the dogs trained to take down criminals and stuff. They do flying arm grabs and things like that. These are all characteristics built into them instinctually to take down largely ungulate prey like deer and cattle. And while the part of the pack will focus on dragging down the back end, generally there's specific members of the pack that are designated to go up and go for the throat bite or the muzzle bite, which is generally on the throat, on the face, on the head. They will when they're doing this to a human, stand up on their chest with their paws on their chest and bite. But I digress. I'm still thinking bear, possibly a black bear, possibly an immature and somewhat lost grizzly. Okay.
As strange as it may sound, it is not uncommon in dog-inflicted deaths. The missing shirt and yanked out shorts are heavy indicators of a dog attack. County sheriffs also called in the great expertise of the Texas Rangers. The Rangers, with their vast experience, viewed the area. Their findings were that it was an animal. They did their own independent study and came with their own conclusion. So now that is all the Hood County sheriffs, plus the Tarrant County medical examiner, and the Texas Rangers that are certain it was not done by a weapon and that it was a mountain lion attack. U.S. federal wildlife expert Mike Bodenchuk expected to crack the case quickly as Christopher was laying in a sandy area. All Bodenchuk had to do was find one of the several tracks that was made by the killer. However, the most incredible thing happened. There were no tracks of any kind except for Christopher's.
Which is super bizarre, which is the weirdest thing about this whole case, is that their area was able to take his tracks, but not any of the attackers' tracks. That's suspicious. That's weird. But obviously these wounds are not consistent with a bird of prey. Generally, they don't go for a throat kill, and it would be way too big for them to target. So I'm not sure what to make of the no tracks thing, other than that the organism that attacked him might have been up in a tree, which would be a mountain lion. They attack from trees, but
So at this very moment, it should be assumed this was a self-inflicted death, but the blood patterns had already shown there was a killer. However, the only tracks at the scene were Christopher's. The killer left no tracks. There were no tracks of mountain lions, dogs, people, nothing.
so
There were
that's
plenty
weird.
of animal tracks 150 yards away from Christopher's body, but that's 1.5 football fields away. Among these tracks there were deer, hogs, coyotes, dogs, and even human tracks. There was also another set
I like how their human is like a scrawny biker meth head looking dude with a bottle of like Mad Dog 2020 or something. Like Texas. Oh,
of tracks 80 yards away from Christopher's body that belonged to a human, but once again, they didn't come up to the body and there was no way to tie them to Christopher's death. But due to the spacing between bites and the pattern of the bites, Bodenchuk suspected our killer was actually a dog. Bodenchuk's theory gained steam when 2 canine hairs were found on Christopher's body.
okay, yeah, canine hairs are found on the location. So we got an individual found with uh, his pants torn down, like something was dragging him down by his pants. Wounds of scratching claws, not lacerating claws like a cat, but scratching claws like a bear or a dog. And its throat bitten. Okay. And then we have dog hairs. We have canine hairs.
Body. Lab results came back positive that they were in fact canine hairs. He 100% had contact with a dog while wearing those jeans. And here's the thing, there are no dogs where Christopher lived. He did have friends that had
There are no dogs that live like domestically, but there are, wild dogs and packs of wild dogs that do strut about in the countryside looking for vulnerable prey to eat. Are you sure it's sheep squatch wool there, John?
had 2 small dogs, but these friends lived a long distance away and it had been a long time since his last visit. Therefore, it kind of ruled them out as a possibility.
Were they chihuahuas?
Strangely, for some reason, there was no attempt made to determine what type of canine these hairs belonged to, especially since the chief suspect is now a canine. Jonah Evans, a tracker from the Texas Parks and Wildlife, was also called out. Evans already knew it was not a mountain lion by the photos. He wrote in his journal that he found it alarming they had ruled out homicide so quickly. Evans is actually an internationally known tracker, one of the best. Evans stated, quote, I'm really...
And I also do not think it was a mountain lion, just to throw that out there right now. There is some compelling facts about the case that make me think that it could have been a mountain lion, like the no tracks thing, if it was ambushed from a tree or something. But there was some pursuit here, in my opinion, based on the location of the body and the bag. That there was some pursuit that chased him off his trail, and that's going to lead to my conclusion.
Really concerned about the possibility that a murderer is out there right now and has gotten away with this crime. Texas Parks and Wildlife made it clear that no native wild animals fit the bill for the killing. The killer was either a domesticated animal, zoo animal, or it was a human. A few things should be noted.
A werewolf? Come on now, a werewolf?
Mountain lions eat intestines, stomachs, liver, etc. first. I know this from numerous posts by freaked out ranchers that think a cryptid or something had killed livestock, but it always turned out to be a mountain lion.
So, and that's true, that mountain lions will go for the soft underbellies where they start to feed at. But this is not, there's no feeding wounds as far as we can see on this gentleman, right? It didn't start to feed on him, whatever it was that attacked him. But it may have cashed him, which is very cat-like behavior. So
Mountain lions do go for the neck, but they don't go for the throat.
false, absolute BS. No, no, no. Okay, so finally get to get into some of this stuff. Oh. They go for the. Let me see, what was this the right one? Let's quote my citations here. Cases of attack by large wild cats, tigers, leopards, pumas, and lions on humans are reported relatively rarely in medical literature, including. I had a citation here that I was going to. Because they don't necessarily go. I mean, obviously, an ambush predator is going to more often than not get you from behind and get the back of your neck, but they'll just as easily and just as often get the throat. They go for the throat. They have just the same instinct to crush your trachea as all the big cats do. So, not a problem to wrap their jaws right around your throat and just give it a nice crush and finish you off in just a matter of moments because you can't breathe, and even the structures of your body that allow you to take air in are being destroyed by this animal's teeth. Yeah, victims most commonly sustain injuries to the head, neck, and chest. So the claims that he just made there about them always attacking from behind is false. Head, neck, and chest. Chest is right here, right? It's not from behind. So this is injuries in the United States from pumas. This is actual Science Direct, a legitimate resource explaining to us how cougar attacks happen and where they happen and what percentage of the population. This has a lot of good details about all of this stuff. 10 states reported 74 cougar attacks from 1924 to 2018. Persons less than 18 years of age were heavily represented among the victims. 48% were over 18 years old. Is that under 18? No, it's over. It's greater than. And 35% were less than 10. Attacks were more common in the summer and fall. 16 victims were hospitalized after being attacked. Among the 35 victims within the data available, 11 attacks were fatal among 71 reported. With this information, none of the hospitalized victims died. No victim variables were predictive of death. So there's some details for you about cougar attacks and how versatile they are in the way that they take down humans.
Mountain lions attack from behind and thus defending their young. And this is a possibility because they can give birth all the way into October, making it possible for the mountain lion to have had cubs. However, when defending their young, they use their claws to inflict deep lacerations. Mountain lions generally suffocate their victim from the back of the neck or they damage the spinal cord. But
That's true, but you can't suffocate somebody from the back of the neck. You damage the spinal cord from the back of the neck. You suffocate from the front of the neck. Come on now. You can't suffocate somebody from behind. I mean, you can if you're around them, but you're still doing it from the front. Oh, goodness.
We need to focus on the suffocating part because Christopher was killed by bleeding to death. If Christopher had been killed by a mountain lion, you would have seen what looked more like vampire bites on the side of his neck with very little blood loss.
If it's dragging him by his throat under some bushes, that might be make the wounds a little bit messier. But no, cougar bites do not look like vampire bites. I will confirm that. This is not a good representation of a cougar bite. And there also is a lot of implications here that they're saying that cougars have a larger mouth, larger bite than dogs. That's just not true. There's many breeds of dogs that have exceptionally larger bites than cougars. Cougars of the large cats have the smallest mouths, the smallest heads and smallest mouths for their body size. So no, they don't. They're slightly smaller than leopards, but they're not. They're by no means even vampire bites. I don't know how they ruled out vampires. I guess this is a good way to rule out vampires, but it's not a good way to rule out mountain lions.
There also would have been deep lacerations from the claws digging into his back, none of which happened. When mountain lions attack, there's always a violent struggle that ensues.
Stop with the always about mountain lion attacks. No, there's not. They're ambush predators. Their optimal attack is to jump on your back, crush your spine, and be done before your body hits the ground. You're dead. That's the goal. So there's not always. Doesn't do this always work? No. Is there a violent struggle sometimes? Absolutely. But the goal is to take you down in one move of any ambush predator. That's what they want. They get you by the throat. They even want to pull you right down without much struggle. They want to when they get you by the throat. When a mountain lion gets you by the throat, it's likely to hug you, right? Whereas marks on the chest, we'll get back to that in a second. The mountain lion's likely to hug you when it's sinking its teeth into your throat. So its arms are around you to hold you in place. So there's not a lot of. I mean, there could, depending on how much of a fight you're able to put up, there could be some thrashing. And if they ambush you and you're not ready for it, something suddenly on your throat pinning you to the ground, sneaking claws into your back, you're not going to have a lot of time to react. So yes, there can be a violent struggle, but definitely not an always statement. Always is ridiculous.
The ground is torn up, branches are broken and such, but there was no sign of a struggle here. Game warden Britton Stuckey noted,
mountain lions always attack things and eat. Every time there's broken branches and all this, goodness. No, they're ambush predators. They're good at what they do.
Mountain lions take their paws and make scrapes or little piles, and then they foul them with urine. They always do this near their kills to scare off other predators from...
Again, with the always statements, no, that's not an always statement. They can mark their prey, or they can stash it and hide it where there's and try to make no sense and leave no scent trace at all to try to keep it away from scavengers.
Taking their meal. They also stash their kills for later. There was no such little mounds, and Christopher had crawled into the place to get away from something. It was not stashed there. Then to top it all off,
that's fair.
One of the only people to have ever inspected a human death by a mountain lion, Jim Bott from New Mexico, looked over the evidence and told the Tarrant County Medical Examiner Rowe that this was not from a mountain lion. During that day, Christopher's...
This was no boating accident.
Mother Kim had kept texting her son and not getting a response. She eventually messaged Tyler on Facebook and asked if Christopher was alright. Tyler replied, "Yeah, we're napping." Christopher was already killed by the time she made that reply. For some reason, this message did not warrant any...
That is sus, right? Lying to your mother, or lying to his mother about his location. Did Tyler stash him out there?
Any consideration of suspicion. One reason being there were no other human tracks found in the wash from the road to where Christopher was attacked. Also probably because all evidence and indicators were leading to a dog. But was it still a homicide? Was the dog sicked on Christopher by someone? Did someone hold up a large dog in the air so it could attack Christopher's throat while he was standing? Now that a canine was the chief suspect, the dog and animal inflicted death expert, Kendall Crowns, A deputy chief medical examiner in Travis County, where the city of Austin resides, was called in. Now we can find out what killed Christopher right off the bat.
Why do they keep putting a bobcat up there? There's no way a bobcat did that. No way. A bear, though.
Crown notes that the fatal neck injury is almost certainly a bite wound. This is where it gets creepy, though, because Crowns, who is one of the top experts in the world on dog-related deaths, stated that it was, quote, something bigger than a dog, so that would rule out coyotes quite quickly and domestic dogs. It was bigger than a dog, so big and so large that Crowns could not identify it. The suspect is now back to the mountain lion.
So, again, mountain lions have a smaller bite than large breeds of dogs. Than like a molliser, anything big like that, mountain lion has a much smaller bite. And smaller bite force, too, for that matter, than a large molliser dog or a bully breed. All those dogs have exceptionally large heads, while mountain lions have exceedingly small heads, again, for their body size.
Now, this isn't the only reason that suspicion is shifting back to a mountain lion. The other reason is that all dog experts are pointing out to the fact there are no takedown marks. When canines attack something larger than them, especially something bipedal, they attack the arms and the legs, and they do what's called takedown. They will maul the limbs until...
If they're getting the clothes, they don't always get a person by the skin. They can grab a hold of your pants or your shirt, too.
The victim drops to the ground, and then they will immediately go for the throat. As all these canine experts are pointing out, the ripping out of the throat before the takedown is extremely irregular and highly unlikely of any canine. They rule out canines. Now back to Tarrant County Medical Examiner Susan Rowe. She has to fill out a death certificate. As she was getting ready to make her final decision and put that the cause of death was by mountain lion, Bodenchuk showed up with 2 mountain lion skulls. He shows that the bite marks are way too big to be a mountain lion, and he firmly establishes that. Fingernail clippings were removed from Christopher and the DNA checked. All we're told is that it came back negative for mountain lion's DNA. Now we can 100% rule out mountain lions once and for all. So what else did the DNA reveal? Well, we don't know because the fingernails were destroyed. We will never know what the DNA was on those fingernails. The good news was...
This case was very poorly handled. I don't know if it's because, this guy's a 3-time loser for being to prison for all this stuff, that they're like, we're just not going to worry about. Hey, there's other people that live here.
Christopher's body still had the bite marks, the scratches, and other places to extract DNA, especially since mountain lions, dogs, and humans have basically been ruled out. The culprit now has to...
Wait, how do we rule out... So one guy said it couldn't have been a dog; it had to be something bigger. But you also implied that he said that maybe a mountain lion, which makes me think he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. So I'm gonna not trust him, because I know that I can bring up dimensions on their skulls if you need. I can bring up the measurements, the minute measurements of a large dog breed skull compared to a mountain lion skull, so you can understand that yes, if it's too big to be a dog, it's too big to be a mountain lion. But I don't think the guy saying this either way knew what he was talking about. I mean, maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong, but he'd have to explain to me how he came to the conclusion that the bite marks are from a mountain lion bigger. I need to see some kind of evidence for that. And I didn't find anything investigating this. So.
According to Tarrant County Medical Examiner, no such request was made to research the DNA and find the actual killer. Therefore, for some reason, she washed the entire body down with a bleach solution. She claimed she did this because of COVID-19. However, when journalists reached out to medical examiners across the country, they found that none of them were engaging in this behavior. They all simply washed the bodies with soap and water. This was really weird. Just when all hope seemed
Like, the forensic person washed the body down with bleach. That is weird. Come on, that's weird. There's a lot of things going on in this little town that I'm interested in finding out more about. Wash the body down with bleach? No, not examining the canine hairs. What's going on here? This is a very serious matter for people who live in this area and have kids and stuff that might go out in those woods to find out what's out there that attacked this guy.
lost. Mike Bodenchuk demanded that pants and boots be sent for saliva testing, and not to the state but to the federal government. After all, there was something weird about the gene tears that didn't fit a human killer. The brilliant move was finally to reveal what weird thing had killed Whiteley. To assure that neither the county nor the state destroyed the DNA, the articles were sent to the U.S. Department of Agriculture Wildlife Research Lab. As everyone patiently waited for the results, shocking news came. They found mold growing in the pockets of the genes. This meant that the genes were neither frozen at the county or federal level to preserve the saliva samples. The U.S. Department of Agriculture blamed Hood County and said, quote, "We cannot make a conclusion about the wildlife species involvement."
Ooh, those were some big sneezes.
And
and there wasn't room on the poll for bear. Maybe bear would have won. And a lot of you guys might be leaning towards bear. I wish I could have put that on the list. I didn't have room to separate werewolf and sheep squatch. There's just too many options in this case. Whew. That sneeze woke me up.
Of course, those who subscribe to this being a killing by a werewolf say that the DNA was destroyed to cover up what they found. So why didn't they report what the DNA was that they found on the fingernails, and who ordered the destruction of the fingernails and the bleaching of the body?
The werewolf did, because it's the were-cop or wolf cop. That's a movie, right? Wolf Cop. Where I remember seeing that.
Let's revisit the backpack and shirt. Reports say that the backpack was set on the ground by a cedar tree. Now, if a wild animal was charging you, you would drop it or use it as a shield. You wouldn't take the time to set it down. If someone was approaching you in an angry manner without a weapon in their hand, you would probably set it down and try to reason with them or get ready to fight.
So, I don't think at the time he set his backpack down, it does seem like it was set very calmly against the tree. I'm not 100% convinced that he was actually headed to work. I'm sort of suspicious that he was circling back to his house, like trying to spy on his old lady, maybe? Said they were fighting. He's like, I'm going to work and then going to peek into the window to see what she's doing or try to catch her doing something. I don't know. I'm making up conspiracies at this point, but the nature of the backpack being set down the way it was makes it seem like he was trying to convince her that he was going to work, and he had all his effects to go to work. But once he got out of sight, he circled back, set his work bag down, as to not be burdened with whatever task he was about to undertake. At which point he ran into his attacker. He was taken down. He was pursued away from his bag. He was whatever was pursuing him tried to pull him down by his pants. May have ripped his shirt off. Tried to pull him down, and then he was struggling to get away from it and crawled under the bushes, but not before it got in there to. Well, maybe that happened under the bushes. I don't know if the neck wound was inflicted in that position or not. I'm not a blood splatter analysis. I'm not Dexter here. Just doing my 2 cents on what seems to be going on here, or why I think it's things fell out the way they did. So, animal attacks are always fun to explore because most people seem like they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Like remember when Tiger King was a thing, and we were like, she's like, oh, you can't convince a tiger to eat a person. You'd have to dip them in tuna or something. Like, what are you talking about, lady? No, you can. A tiger will absolutely eat a person. We are like on their menu.
In fact, that would explain the missing shirt, as many people take their shirt off to fight. On January 25th, with nothing else to go on, Justice of the Peace Kathy Gwynn certified Whiteley's death certificate. And it reads, quote, accident attacked by an animal of some sort. Bodenchuk said, quote, I think the fact that it's an unknown animal still leaves some questions, you know. In fact, all the investigators, wildlife experts, and medical examiners that viewed the case say it was death from being torn apart by teeth, being bitten, except one person, Jonah Evans. No matter if it was a human, mountain lion, dog, or a cryptid like a dogman, whatever your belief is, that killer is still on the loose. The killer is still out there. What some are saying is that this is a clear werewolf attack and that the behavior of law enforcement and the government supports this. So now let's look at their argument. Christopher left his home and went southwest, which means he was probably trying to retreat or get away from something.
Okay, so again, we're back to this map, but I like this map because it shows, he goes to work this way. So his bag was found here. So that makes me think that he walked out here, circled back, walked up the creek bed. His bag was found in this area here, about 150 yards south. I think it was directed south, so it might have been right here. So his body was found somewhere in this area, like right behind his house, really. So to get from here to here, yeah, the creek bed's a good route. I mean, obviously he could have just walked straight back in front of his house, but you would think that she would have seen that. But again, they don't have dogs or anything that would have been barking at him coming back up the drive, so who knows?
Or just trying to hide from something between him and his home. Christopher set his backpack down, which is a passive action, and he did not put up a defense or struggle.
Yeah, if you see a werewolf coming at you, is that what you're going to do? Is put your hands up and try to reason with it? X to doubt. Do I have that one on here? I always say that. Yes, I do. There we go.
And this is documented. It was like he knew the attacker was trying to reason with it. The blood patterns ultimately proved that Christopher was standing when attacked. This means the killer was either tall or jumped upwards. Christopher was attacked from the front, which is consistent with accounts of werewolf attacks in the past. Another match from accounts in the past over the centuries is the throat being ripped out. The bite marks were consistent.
Are you talking about where the accounts from the past werewolf attacks? Because there's not been any real accounts from the past of werewolf attacks, because werewolves aren't real. Let me rewind that, make sure I didn't hear his claim.
Mishear his claim. Over the century, werewolf attacks in the past. From the front, which is consistent with accounts of werewolf attacks in the past. This means the killer was either tall or jumped upwards. Christopher was attacked from the front, which is consistent with accounts of werewolf attacks in the past.
No, there's no accounts of werewolf attacks from the past.
Another match from accounts in the past over the centuries is the throat being.
There aren't any accounts from the past.
Ripped out. The bite marks were consistent with a canine, but way too big to be any canine that exists. However, this is a dead ringer for werewolf according to these people. Ultimately, the best argument is that it was a canine attack. However, the massive bite marks rule that out, as well as the fact there were no takedown marks. The genes were ripped by teeth, which would take a powerful animal.
So yeah, my question why a werewolf that is human height would lean down to bite his jeans.
And once again, that could be a canine or a werewolf, but pretty much rules out a human. Something else tore his pants open and tried to drag him by his shorts. When the attack was over, Christopher did not try to crawl towards home or try to climb up a tree. We do know that Christopher was found in the thicket. It appears he dropped to the ground and crawled under it to get away from whatever was pursuing him. This is an indicator that he was attacked by something bipedal, like a human, a bear, or, as some are saying, a werewolf.
Yeah, you haven't talked much about the bear option here, but there are bears in this area. Not super common, but they're there. And black bears can definitely kill people. They've killed people in the past.
And why a werewolf rather than a dogman? Well, they think that the backpack being set on the ground was an indicator that he's trying to reason with it, and it's somebody that he knew. They also brought up the canine.
Reason with the werewolf. Is that something that if everything else that you built this argument on was based on folklore about werewolves, then the fact that you can't reason with a werewolf should be also on the list. A horny female werewolf? You think so, Dee?
Hairs that were found on Christopher's body, and stating that because the DNA was not researched, it was because they ran across something that they were uncomfortable with. That's also why they destroyed the DNA on the body and destroyed the DNA on the genes, is because they had.
But there's a chain of custody on all this stuff, though. Somebody's accountable for everything along the way.
Found something that isn't supposed to exist. I don't feel like they have an airtight case on this, but I have to admit that they do have a lot of good points, and it's the only thing that fits the evidence that
Is it though?
we have. I'm not going to mention the person's name because I'm 100% sure this person is not a werewolf, but they all suspect one person as being the werewolf. The pattern of retreat from the home and some Facebook postings where this person relates to a werewolf and says, "I wish I could stop it." They feel like this is compelling evidence, and it absolutely is not. So
I'm wondering if it's Tyler that he's talking about here. I'm not going to investigate that. I don't look into like doxing people.
So once again, this person's 100% innocent, and I'm going to protect their identity. So what do you guys think? Give me your opinion in the comments below. Do you think this was a dog? Do you think it was a mountain lion? Do you think it was like an escaped zoo animal? Do you think it was a human? Or do you believe it was possibly some sort of a cryptid? Whatever people's opinions
even mention
be respectful,
bears.
Nobody laugh at anyone, and nobody attack anyone's opinions.
They didn't even mention bears. Why not a bear? All right, so that's the story. That's the lore around it. Do I think it was a werewolf? Hell no, I don't think it was a werewolf. What do I think it was? I think it was a pack of dogs. I think it was a pack of wild dogs. Maybe they didn't even kill him. Maybe they just mingled his corpse. But I think that they did take him down based on the evidence. He was taken down by a canine, or a pack of canines more specifically. I don't know for sure if a person was involved in that or not. A person with a pack of canines that directed him to attack him, sure, that's a possibility, but that'd be a really extravagant way to go about killing someone and very inefficient. Was it a wolf cop? No, it was a cop that found the body, so no. 98% of the time, whoever finds the body is the killer. That's why joggers are always so suspicious. Aw, bye, Jeannie. You have a good one. So, in my opinion, it was the second most likely suspect would be a bear to me, and then a mountain lion. The only part of the evidence that even remotely points to a mountain lion for me is the lack of tracks. Right? Everything else doesn't fit the MO of a mountain lion. The stuff that they said about a mountain lion attack, though, was completely false. A mountain lion can definitely go for your throat and rip it out. But you would expect to see grappling claw marks, which they imply was from the instead on the chest, which is not werewolf-like either. Werewolf 2 would probably grapple as it bit your throat because it has human arms. It would probably grapple. Something with cursorial paws, though, that don't have grabbing ability like cats and primates, like a canine or a bear, will put their paws on your chest while they bite your throat, though. Food for thought. What do you think, though? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for joining us tonight in Cryptic Corner, and please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time. All right, live from the Hive audience, thank you so much for sticking around with me. We've had a pretty good turnout this week. Last week we had a low turnout. I don't know what happened. I think I scheduled the video wrong or something like that. Didn't get people their alerts out. So thank you so much for sticking around with me. We got more show to come, so don't go anywhere. We got some sci-fails coming up here in just a moment, and you're gonna get a kick out of it because we will be doing, what is it? Horrifying animals you should avoid at all costs. And I wonder if I'm gonna get a copyright strike for this one. Hope not. But anyway, I will see you guys over there in just a few minutes.
I think this is the first time I ever engaged you was to ask if you were going to talk about this in one of your debates, is the Cambrian explosion and the misrepresentation. And you know, at this point, for a lot of these guys, it's a deliberate misrepresentation because they've been corrected about the misnomer that is the Cambrian explosion. You want to go ahead and fill us in a little bit about that?
Yeah, I did actually have one conversation about the Cambrian explosion with a long story short a number of months back. After I first saw his videos, the team and I who do the videos, after we first ran across him, we did 2 responses to his video. I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, he's basically reprising Darwin's Doubt. Darwin's Doubt, for anyone who doesn't know, is a book written in 2013 by the Discovery Institute fellow Stephen Meyer, who's not a biologist, he's not a paleontologist, he's not a geologist, he's a philosopher of science. Perfectly respectable field, not relevant to the topic.
Yeah.
And so Meyer writes this tome. I mean, this is like a 500-page book on the Cambrian explosion. That it really proposes 2 theses. The first is that the fossil record shows what looks like an act of divine creation. You have nothing, and then you have the Cambrian organisms. They all just pop out of nowhere. Then his second thesis is that mutations and natural selection can't account for the diversity of life that appears in the Cambrian. Well, they're both just flat wrong. They're both really bad theses, but because for one thing, there were organisms preceding the Cambrian critters. We've known that since I think the 60s. Although it's only been relatively recently that the Ediacarans, which are the organisms preceding the Cambrian, or immediately preceding the Cambrian, have been identified. There are things like Kimberella and Dickinsonia and Hautia, which are animals. And in fact, some of them are bilaterians. And so we have, and actually just earlier this year, I believe, or late last year, was another fossil identified from Australia called Icaria wariutia, which is this little unsegmented, almost worm-like animal, which is a bilaterian. And it matches the features that were predicted based on the tracks Helminthoid dicnites. And so the researchers predicted what this thing should have looked like based on these tracks. And there we have it.
Yeah.
We have the body fossils now.
That's how science should work, exactly. Finding trackways, making predictions based on those, and then following through with that. And the misrepresentation that you see a lot with the Cambrian explosion is that they characterize it as an explosion. And we're talking about a 20 million year period. That's
yep.
That's not it's not a quick event, and you're talking about mostly single-celled organisms at the time that reproduce very, very quickly. Yeah, mostly single-cell. I know that there were multicellular organisms as well at the time, but that reproduce quickly. There's plenty of time for diversification and speciation in that window.
Yeah, you're right. It is a 20, 25 million year time frame, and it's framed as they came out of nowhere. They just instantly appear in the fossil record. But there's actually there is a lead up to the Cambrian, and the better picture that we constantly get, because researchers are constantly digging up fossils and doing stratigraphic analyses. Well, this is getting better all the time, and so our picture of the Cambrian is increasingly getting better. Well, we're seeing a series of steps leading up to the Cambrian explosion proper. You've got your soft-bodied bilaterians, then you have small, shelly critters, things hyoliths and halkyarids, and a lot of these are stem groups. So they're the sort of the predecessors of the crown groups, and these are appearing in the early Cambrian. And then you have the crown groups appearing in the later Cambrian, and they surpass and take over and replace most of the stem lineages. And that looks pretty evolutionary to me. But, of course, most creationists, most intelligent design people are entirely unfamiliar with paleontology, entirely unfamiliar with paleobiology and geology. And
they depend on their audience being unfamiliar with that stuff too. That's really
absolutely.
Religious extremists don't believe in plurality or inclusion, but only in their own superiority and privilege. So in the 1950s, they changed our national motto from the unifying phrase "E pluribus unum" to an exclusionary proclamation of religious belief, and then forced atheist children to chant that mantra ever since. They don't want a democratic republic of we the people. They want an authoritarian regime of forced conformity, restricting even our most intimate liberties, what we think and even who we are. To achieve that goal, they promote American exceptionalism, which is the lie that the U.S. is blessed and will remain so only as long as we appease the Christian version of God, even when that means attacking unbelievers and queer folk, which our increasingly awful state is already doing. In order to sell the first lie, they need to couch it in another lie, that the U.S. was founded as a Christian nation, which is demonstrably factually false even according to the founders themselves. And the lie that our laws were based on Moses, who experts now say never existed. The First Amendment contradicts the First Commandment because the founders wanted to be the polar opposite of the Sharia-like law of Moses. But if the 10 Commandments were prominently displayed in every classroom, then the kids would believe that lie. That's why religious conservatives want this. They are relentlessly trying to rewrite history to undermine our pioneer example of a secular nation, the only form of governance that can provide religious freedom. Our model has become the envy of the Western world and is now emulated by older countries that were once the oppressive theocracies that our forefathers escaped and that Christian nationalists now want to drag us back to. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said this bill would promote religious freedom, which of course it won't. It will have the opposite effect, which is the intended effect, to promote Christianity to a privileged position. This bill is an unconstitutional establishment of religion by design. That is the whole point of it, and the only possible purpose behind it, so it must not pass.
All right, members, excuse me, any questions for this witness? All right, we appreciate you being here. Chair calls Charles Cruz.
Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to the latest installment of Sci Fails. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, and let's crack this right open. This one was sent to me. And I watched it. It's not as bad as the ones we've seen before. There are some things that uh, I'm gonna dig into here, so at least it gives us an excuse to dig into some stuff. But these are horrifying animals you should avoid at all costs. Let's find out what they are, peeps.
Mostly, anyway. I'm an
Of
animal
course.
lover.
Back up. There you go.
Nature sure is beautiful, huh? Well, mostly anyway. I'm an animal lover, but there are some beasties out there I really wouldn't
I'm
want to
digging
meet.
that background jam,
Sometimes,
though.
however, we don't get much choice. From terrifying creatures that will
Oh, none of these things on the screen right now are terrifying. They're amazing, awesome. This is a good daddy right here. You stop it. This is a... Oh, y'all can't see. Hold on. I can fix that. Because y'all need to see. Because he's a good daddy. That's just a good daddy right there. Just a good daddy being being a good daddy. Excuse me. Took a couple of riffs while I was off camera there. That's a good daddy. Don't be talking smack about him. He's taking care of his babies.
make your skin crawl to monsters capable of tearing you limb from
Oh,
limb.
he's
Here are some
hungry. No, he's just a hungry boy. Give him some snacks.
horrifying animals you should avoid at all costs.
So I think this is supposed to be our narrator here, and the voice and the narrator are like incongruent to me. Like I cannot picture that man's voice coming out of this thing's face. Can you? Are you like? Are you guys feeling it? Is this masculine narrator coming out of this little circle with square arms and legs?
The Death Stalker. Nobody wants to get stung by a scorpion. It hurts,
Nobody.
but some pinchy boys will do a lot more than cause you a little pain. This is the deadliest scorpion in the world, aptly named the Death Stalker.
Why is it showing the Western Hemisphere right here when Death Stalkers are from like the Middle East and Egypt? Kind of weird. Weird decision here. Aw, am I being too into my animals for you, Sumami? I used to have a good pet. They call them toe biters. The giant water bug. The guy that has eggs on the back on his back. I had one of those as a pet for I think most of 2022. I had it here. It died here. They only live about a year and a half, but it died when I lived here, and I got it when I lived. Yeah, it lived with me in three different places. It was actually a really good pet. It was like having a little turtle. So a couple crickets in there, watch it swim around. You could actually hold it if you were careful. It crawled all over my hands. I have a video of it. If you want me to show that, I think I can find that at the end here. We'll see if we can share it. Would you guys like to see? I was like really early in my transition too, so y'all want to see what I look like as an egg. Got 48 seconds in. I've been on like a 3 minute tangent, and I have to. Oh my gosh, I have a Thanksgiving this afternoon. Y'all should see my dress real quick. It's really cute. Maybe you can't see it. Camera's not low enough. Hold on, and I gotta adjust. Ooh, you can't. You're not gonna be able to see it. Dang it. But anyhow, oh, I got my camera aimed way too down. There we go. See, I shouldn't have messed with my camera. I wanted to show you guys my dress. I'll have pictures up later if y'all want to see it. It's cute. But you can't see my all my shoes down. It's embarrassing. I keep all my shoes underneath my desk. I'm weird. I have like a lot of shoes. I know I have a closet full of shoes too. I'm taking this girl thing seriously, y'all.
In case it wasn't obvious from that name, a sting from one can be deadly to the young, old, or weak. But don't get comfortable if that isn't you. Stings can still cause a whole host of other.
And you can tell the Death Stalker has a deadly sting by its tiny hands. Well, good rule of thumb. I mean, it's not perfect, but a good rule of thumb with scorpions is uh, the smaller the hands, the pincers, the bigger the sting, the tessin. And the bigger the pincers, the less uh, powerful the sting. So that's a good rule of thumb to go by.
Other nasty effects, including nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Ew. Imagine being attacked by a whole swarm of these beasties. Well, for the southern province of Aswan in Egypt, this was a horrifying reality. In 2020,
That was John Candy about that steak, that giant steak in the great outdoors. He's like, no, I can't eat anymore. Just putting that out there. I actually covered this when it happened. This was one, again, back when my channel was really bug centric, when it was still called Brain Bug, and it was mostly about bugs. I covered this story pretty good. Now that was pre-transition me, so you're gonna have to go back and watch that yourself. I'm not gonna share that here, but it's still available on YouTube. I don't hide any of that stuff in my time because you can watch me grow on YouTube. In the future, when future generations look back and say, "Who was Bree?" There'll be a chronological record of who I am and what I've done. So.
2021, the region was bombarded with heavy rain, which forced hundreds of deathstalkers out of their dens to seek better shelter. Unfortunately, people were in the way. The army of deathstalkers descended on towns and cities, and a total of 503 people wound up stuck.
Let me see if I can find some easy royalty-free Deathstalker and Swarm. Swarms of scorpions. Let's drag this over here real quick. Check this out, guys. See, and this is why now I gotta drag this bigger. Womp. Let's see. Doing all my screen adjustments and stuff. There we go. Because I don't know if that sound is gonna get me in trouble or not. I'm gonna mute it. But Deathstalkers are semi colonial organisms. They live in like pseudo swarms, like sort of like cockroaches. They gather together in dark places, come out at night to hunt independently, but they live all together in these dark places during the heat of the day. And when it rains and all these dark places start flooding, well, they swarm up, and there you have it, right? People are in the way, they're gonna get stung. All right, carry on.
Stung by the venomous villains. Whoa.
Why are
Thankfully,
they? Ooh, do not call scorpions villains. Scorpions are amazing creatures, ancient creatures that have survived so much stuff in their same form. They haven't even had to change like us and our ancestors do. Yeah, my frog phase. Huh? Yes, my metamorphosis. I was a little tadpole with a beard. And then, yeah, here I am now looking like this. Look at me. Isn't that crazy? Could you imagine with a beard and a beard and glasses, receding hairline?
the local government was quick to react, and they managed to apply anti-venom to everybody.
Hey, Steph. Hey, Titan. Good to see everybody. I don't know if I forgot to say good morning to everybody today, but yeah, good morning, everybody. What a good turnout. You guys have been really active and engaging.
Phew, that could have been a whole load of blocked toilets. Or filled graves. The Black Death. Snakes are some of the most feared fauna in the world, and it doesn't help that they can pop up.
Overly feared, though. And I've been watching Arden's second channel with Epic Loot Exotics, where they unbox or not unbox, they weigh and they have their snake collection, and bring them out and show them and weigh them, and they have their eggs and stuff that they show. If you like that sort of thing, you might like it over there. So that's been my snake indulgence here lately.
Anywhere from your car to your toilet bowl. But one homeowner in Durban, South Africa got the shock of their life when they found one of the most venomous snakes in the world curled up right inside their barbecue. This is a black mamba, a snake so deadly that without swift medical attention, its bite
Oh, I'm muted. I coughed, I think, while that was going on. Ah, thank you, sweeties. Yes, I don't know how long I've been muted. What I was talking about. Uh, I think you were saying something. I was saying something about black mambas. Yeah. So I was just what I was advising was, with any kind of snake, it's best to take, uh, all the precautions possible to make sure that you don't antagonize it. They can be snakes can absolutely be accidentally antagonized. They can absolutely be um, given a false sense of danger from a human. Sometimes it's not false though. Humans like to just chop into snakes when they see them, and they don't care. I had a beautiful 15-foot albino Burmese python. Holy crap, that's huge. That's a huge albino. Wow, as far as Burmese pythons go, that's really up there. How much did it weigh, if you don't mind me asking? Giant snakes are a thing I do on this channel. So I actually cover, excuse me again, I cover a lot of giant snake stuff on this segment here because there's a lot of claims about modern giant snakes and titanoboas. Don't use a wire brush on a venomous snake. I'm wondering if it didn't get in there to brush against that to help it shed because it looks like, see how light its color is? You see this? I know this is a cutout, but it's a real black mamba. How shiny and black they are generally. Now it could be covered with charcoal dust, but I think it may be also that it's about to chef off its skin. This wire brush would probably be great for that.
it's almost always end in the victim's demise. Luckily, our barbecuer was A-OK. He called a professional to safely remove the serpent who decided to capture this clip first. Man, to say they got off lightly is an understatement.
Especially how white its head is. I think it's about and when they are in this stage where they can't see, because the coverings on their eyes pop off, right? They're foggy and weird, and no longer they're not clear anymore, and they shut that off. But when they're in the stage of right before that happens, they're extremely vulnerable and skittish because they can't see anything, and all they can do is they can sense light movement. That's about it, like seeing through a foggy window. Um, and then they, sorry, you started brushing your teeth. I've started brushing my teeth with a venomous snake. I hate when that happens. The sound should be working now, Mordecai. It was just a second that I was muted. Well, a few seconds. Not too bad this time. What I've done is I've popped out the volume thing separate because that's the only thing I can think to do. The only problem I have with that is anytime I click on the screen that has that stuff on it, it goes behind the main Streamlab. But I'd rather be able to see the volume bouncing than anything right now. Uh, yeah. So yeah, how I had to give her up because she was too big. Did you give her to like a reptile place or something? Sounds like she was absolutely massive. And I love Burmese. They are very personable as far as snakes go.
Black mambas are supremely nervous, meaning if you so much as step in the wrong place, it could be lights out. The speedy snakes can dart towards you at 10 miles an hour, and after lunging, they'll bite multiple times.
Now they are incredibly fast. That's not even an exaggeration. They are, as far as a thing with no legs goes, damn, you're fast, Matt Black Mamba.
In a single attack. This is some serious overkill too, because just 2 drops of venom is enough to make a human pop their clogs. Jeez.
And these snakes, they do have powerful enough venom to kill an elephant, is what the anecdote says. I don't know if there's actually any records of elephants killed by black mamba. Let's look. Black mamba, which was also yeah, can an elephant kill? No, I don't need that. Scientist. Here we go. Yeah, let's step away from that for just a second. I'm gonna pop right over here. This is wildnature.com, which, you know, to it seems like they'd have reasonable information. This is fairly recent too. So I got some citations. It's from September this year. The venom of the black mamba is capable of killing an elephant. This venom is very toxic to humans and animals. Current research has shown that the poison is dangerous enough to kill an elephant. It only needs a few minutes to take effect and end the life of the large animal. However, the elephant is treated quickly, an antidote, it can be saved. As you might expect, see, it's always there's anecdotes about antidotes being given to elephants. I want to know about cases of elephants actually succumbing to the venom of the mamba. They do have few predators. Snake eagles. Mongoose. Honey badger. Yeah, however, the greatest danger to elephants when it comes to snakes is king cobras. That'd be the Indian elephant, though, which is not where mambas live. Neither the anaconda nor particularly python has the strength to kill an elephant, so the one that stand a real chance against elephants are black mambas and king cobras. Yeah, I wouldn't imagine a constrictor wouldn't have uh, the girth to take down an elephant. Maybe an exceptionally large one that got around the elephant's neck by artificial means. Once it's on there, maybe it could. But I think the elephant could also very much crush the snake by rolling around on it to get it off. Yeah.
If I ever come across one of these demon snakes, I'm slithering away as fast as possible. Explosion on the beach.
Oh,
When I'm on vacation, I love looking for cool shells on the beach. One thing I can safely say I never want to see on my beach trips, though, is this. Cripes! What is that? Well, despite what it looks like, it's not a giant dinosaur. This is a sperm whale carcass that washed up in Western Cape, South Africa, back in 2018. Ah, the creature is literally dead then, right? Surely there's no need to be scared. Well, that's where you're wrong. See, as a beached whale decomposes, it produces gas and balloons in size, turning it into an alien-looking mass like this.
This is, this is all freaking true. I guess I'm going to show you guys in a second about this.
And all that gas inside the whale will continue to build up until eventually the pressure becomes too much for the giant fleshy beach ball, and boom.
Yeah, don't approach a giant inflated whale carcass on a beach. You will regret
The thing
it.
explodes. If you're anywhere near it when it happens, the sheer force of the blast would do some serious damage. Never mind the smell. So unless you fancy stinky whale flesh rocketing towards you at some unholy speed, stay well away.
Remember when they blew up the whale on the beach with the dynamite and stuff? No, I wasn't going to show the whale with the dynamite. Do you want to see the whale with the dynamite? I can. Drop a link to it, Doc, if you have it. But I actually have, because whales aren't the only things that do this. Another animals closely related to whales, actually the whale's closest relative in the world, is known for having this sort of reaction as well. And I think that I'm going to speed this up and mute it, and hopefully that's enough steps to... Oh my gosh! Oh. Yeah, if you want to see the whale explode, though, I'll do that. I got a cough. All that giggling. Discord, okay. Uh-oh, doo-ba-ba-doo-ba-doo.
Sheer pandemonium. The loud blast launched the whale's massive right side 150 feet into the air.
Getting sound
Whale
with
matter
me.
and sand erupted into the sky like an exploding volcano. Spectators on the dunes watched in awe as the mammal disintegrated. But humor quickly...
Hold on. I'll get it pulled up in just a second. Forgot I had to minimize this thing over here. So, there we go. Do it that way. And we'll restart the exploding whale incident. Let me know if you guys can hear
Next
it.
was sheer pandemonium. The loud blast launched the whale's massive right side 150 feet into the air. Whale matter and sand. He warned the Highway Division that they needed fewer explosives to push the whale out to sea, or significantly more to obliterate it into tiny chewable whale nuggets. Despite his suggestions, the detonation proceeded as planned. What happened next was sheer pandemonium. The loud blast launched the whale's massive right side 150 feet into the air. Whale matter and sand erupted into the sky like an exploding volcano. Spectators on the dunes watched in awe as the mammal disintegrated. But humor quickly turned to panic when, instead of small bits, chunks of whale meat launched dangerously toward the spectators. Spectators shrieked and stampeded for cover as the monstrous slabs of seared flesh crashed around them. When the news crew realized they weren't far enough away, they also started running.
And this stuff starts hitting the ground. Boom, 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 boom. And all of a sudden you realize, my God, I could be killed by whale blubber here.
Worst of all was the wretched stench of vaporized innards, heaving stomachs in its wake. Or as news crews put it, the smell was horrible, but when they blew the thing open, it was twice as horrible. Among the chaos, one casualty
Could you imagine the smell? Good grief.
stood out. A car parked 450 feet away was suddenly crushed under a lump of whale the size of a coffee table. Ironically, the brand new Oldsmobile belonged to the passerby who tried to warn the authorities. He could only watch in horror as his prized car.
What a bunch of bullshit. He's like, guys, no, don't do it. You're gonna fuck up. If this is gonna be this is a bad idea. You need more. The guy's like, there need more explosives to make to disintegrate this guy, or you need less just to roll it over. And they're like, no, we're gonna use just this amount to blow giant chunks of it into the air. He's like, no, don't do it. Like, we're gonna do it. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna watch. Watch, I told you. And then it lands on his fucking car.
Car was reduced to
Poor
scrap
dude.
metal.
It was a neat car. I just got it from Dunham's, and it was a Regency. And like I say, the funny thing about their slogan was a whale of a deal.
Within 2 days, the state of Oregon reimbursed the owner for the full retail value of his car. Amazingly, no one was injured. The aftermath.
There would be retail value plus some emotional damages on my behalf. There'd be further litigation for some of the distress that this would have caused me.
Called for further action. Thornton.
Anyway, I'm getting distracted with the whale explosion. Got pretty awful though. Let's get back to our horrifying animals.
Tarantula hawk. What? 3 words. Tarantula hawk wasp. If it sounds like something from your deepest nightmares, there's a good reason for that. It's part of the spider wasp family. Wasps so badass that they...
Why? So, do not be afraid of a tarantula hawk if you see it, or a spider wasp of any kind. They want nothing, absolutely nothing to do with you at all. There's nothing in your life that they have any interest in, other than maybe sheltering in your windowsill or something. But they're really not interested in engaging with humans, even like compared to like hornets and stuff, which actually will go after like your drinks and your food and stuff. Tarantula hawk wasp, no interest at all. So you have no reason to fear these animals at all. You have to go out of your way to get them to sting you. They would rather flee from you. I thought when I was down in Arkansas a couple of summers ago, I followed one of these guys around. I think the videos are still up on my Instagram. I followed one of these guys around with my camera for like 15 minutes as it explored spider burrows looking for food, or looking for someplace to lay its eggs, I guess is the better way to put it.
They kill tarantulas. Well, after paralyzing them with a venomous sting and laying an egg inside of them, of course. Ugh, what? Yeah, you heard that right. After the egg.
And yes, this is where the aliens from the Alien movie franchise get their reproductive cycle inspiration from.
Egg hatches, the larva emerges and eats the poor stunned spider alive. Yeesh, that's disgusting. And the creepy critters are super common too, living everywhere from the US all the way to Australia. So you never know when you might stumble across.
Yeah, they're everywhere. They're not dangerous at all though.
One. Australian Reddit user Space.
You have to go out of your way to antagonize them in order to get them to sting you.
Monster came home from work one day to this skin-crawling sight. A tarantula hawk wasp dragging off a colossal huntsman spider. What a homely welcome. Thankfully, the hellish wasps aren't interested in making you their dinner and will sooner flee than attack, so Space Monster was okay. That being said, if one feels threatened, you could well find yourself at the business end of a stinger. And a sting from the tarantula hawk is agony. In fact, it's so intense.
And Coyote Peterson way overplayed the tarantula hawk sting too.
It's that the only advice experts give is to lie down and scream. Man, the pain only lasts a few minutes, but you can guarantee it'll be the most agonizing few minutes of your life. Most people are so consumed by it that they lose control of their bodies, making them more likely to accidentally hurt themselves further. That's all bad enough. Just be glad you don't have that.
What the hell did the tarantula hawk do to that guy? Holy shit, his clothes were all torn up and he was like stumbling around like he just got in a fist fight. Oh my gosh. Must have roughed him up a bit.
Malicious mozzies. Everybody knows how irritating mosquitoes are. They never seem to buzz off. That said, surprisingly,
those are not mosquitoes. Not mosquitoes that you're showing on the screen right now. Those look like
Few
mayflies.
people are aware of just how deadly these disgusting creatures can be. Mozzies survive by drinking
Stop trying to make mossies happen. It's not going to happen.
their victim's blood using their long feeding tube or proboscis. As they do so, they also inject a tiny amount of their saliva, which stops
the blood clotting. Yeah. And then the saliva also causes
the blood from clotting and numbs the pain of the bite. The saliva also causes the itchy red spots we all know so well. Grody. The scary part isn't the bite itself, though. No, that comes from the insect's ability to spread life-threatening diseases.
Like malaria, #1 killer of all humans throughout time. Yeah. Malaria is quite the biatch.
Whenever a skeeter drinks blood, say from a rat, it also absorbs any disease-causing
skeeter do that to a
microorganisms that may be inside its bloodstream. If that flying filth bag then feeds on a human, some of those
Did
microorganisms
you just call it a flying filth bag? You know, most mosquitoes are not like biting people even. It's only the females that are about to lay eggs that bite people. But you call them flying filth bags. They're important to the food web, if anything.
can pass to them. Ew. Malaria is the most infamous of these ailments, responsible for over 600,000 casualties in 2022 alone. Oh man, but that figure isn't so hard to understand when you see how voracious these things can be. Reddit user Monique2310 took her kids out swimming in a local river and got bit no less than 65 times. Thankfully, and perhaps astoundingly, it doesn't seem like she caught anything nasty. But the thought of all those mozzies inserting their little suckers into her
Stop trying to make mozzies happen. It's not going to happen.
skin? Ugh, that's one huge nope. Shame it's not socially acceptable to wear Jedi cloaks made from mosquito netting. You know what else isn't socially acceptable? Not being subscribed to the channel. So hit the like and subscribe buttons now, and you'll never miss out on
He's talking about my channel, by the way. So you gotta like and subscribe to my channel. There's very clear instructions. I don't know how you all are not getting this.
one of my amazing videos ever again. All done? Nice. Let's peek at some more horrid creatures.
Horrid?
Many-legged horror. This is a millipede. We like millipedes.
Aww.
They're cute guys who chow down on dead plants.
That's a
This is an
centipede.
Amazonian giant centipede. But these nasty carnivores can grow up to a stomach turning 12 inches long and skulk through the rainforest.
I don't think all these are Amazonian giant centipedes. That first one looked like a desert centipede, but my phone's ringing.
But these nasty carnivores can grow up to a stomach turning 12 inches long and skulk through the rainforest of South America, preying on everything from snakes to scorpions. The creepy crawlies are venomous and aggressive when threatened, and trust me when I say a nip for one of these things smarts. Centipedes will latch onto your skin with a horrifying pair of pincer-like appendages and inject painful venom into the resulting wound. You can look forward to swelling, bleeding, and a whole lot of itching and burning. No, and in rare cases, tissue death, a disgusting condition where your flesh literally
necrosis
rots away. Great. So to summarize, millipede good, centipede bad. Don't.
No, both good. No, stop demonizing freaking arthropods. They're just animals doing their animal things.
Get these two confused.
No.
The bear necessities. For people who aren't in the know, bears are cute buzzballs that you just want to hug. The reality, however, is very different. Something which one vacationer in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, found out the hard way.
Why you so cute? Oh, he coming. Oh, hell no.
Yeah, bears are terrifying. They're huge, powerful, and almost unstoppable. If you thought that last video was scary though, wait until you hear about Reddit user Donut Shops. He and 3 friends had decided to go camping in a secluded area near some woods in Yellowstone and had just set up for the night. But they had no idea they were near an elk carcass. That is, until a whole group of grizzly bears turned up to share the food. Holy mother of! Resisting the urge to panic, Donut and his pals quickly packed up and made a hasty exit. However, as they were retreating, something downright horrifying happened. A grizzly came charging out of the woods straight at them. Now it was panic time. Luckily, one of the group had brought bear spray and fired a hefty dose right at the rampaging animal, which made it turn on its heels. But the ordeal was far from over. One of the campers had cut themselves.
That would be freaking terrifying to be chased by freaking bears like that. Good grief.
While packing up the supplies, and the scent of the wound was attracting all the bears in the vicinity. The group spent an exhausting 8 hours fleeing the relentless beasts in the darkness while trying to find their way to safety. At one point, they made a fire from the books they'd brought with them and set light to dry sticks with it, throwing them at any bears that got too close. Incredibly, this worked long enough to see them through to the next morning. And
yeah, bears are afraid of fire. I'd have leaned heavy on some of that bear spray too. They keep you through the night.
Against all odds, everybody survived. Phew. So if you ever intend on camping out in bear territory, first of all, make sure you bring bear spray. Failing that, there are a couple of other things you can try if a bear attacks you. If it's a brown or grizzly bear, play dead. The bear won't perceive you as a threat and may leave you alone. If it's a black bear, though, this won't work. Instead, you'll have to either run or fight, and neither is a great option.
But they say the old saying is, if it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lay down. If it's white, good night. Because there's not much you can do. Which generally is a good rule of thumb is all right, but the laying down for the brown bears has been kind of debunked a bit. The more appropriate response that they get if they give for you is that to try to keep something in between you and the bear, because you are able to basically play ring around the rosy with it consistently until it exhausts itself and leaves. I've used to do it with my dog around the kitchen table, so I know how it's done. Oh.
My advice, stay the hell out of bear territory, full stop. Colossal croc. The waters of our planet are full of horrifying monsters that are actually nothing to worry about. Take this wolffish, for example. Looks like something out of a horror movie, right? The spooky guy has some impressive teeth and is definitely capable of giving you a nasty bite if threatened. That said, though, they're actually rather placid, despite what some people claim. This particular wolffish also seems to have passed away, making it super placid. On the other end of the watery spectrum, however, sits the saltwater crocodile, the largest living reptile and arguably the deadliest croc in the world. Salties can reach 20 feet in length and weigh a colossal
Did they just do
3,330
the
pounds,
New World
and
thing
arguably
again?
the deadliest croc in the world.
They're showing the Western Hemisphere for a saltwater crocodile, which lives way over the other side of the Pacific.
Salties can reach 20 feet in length and weigh a colossal 3,330 pounds. That's almost as long as a London bus and 3 times heavier than a grizzly bear. These reptilian monsters are highly aggressive and so territorial that they'll snack on humans if any are unlucky enough to wander nearby. And unlucky they'd certainly be. Saltwater crocs have the strongest bite of any animal. Bite force is measured by PSI, or pressure per square inch, and salties have an astounding crunch power of 3,700 PSI. That's 3,700 pounds of sheer force colliding with every inch of the bite area. What? For reference, lions bite with 1,000 psi and humans between 150 and 200 psi. Simply put, these titans can crush bones with ease. And they're
PSI isn't everything, though. Since they're aquatic ambush predators, they don't have like sharp teeth. That's why they have to have high pressure, so they can drag large prey into the water. So having that high pressure bite allows them to keep a hold of whatever they've bitten onto. I've seen not salties, but Nile crocodiles, which are very comparable in size and in bite force. Like they'll hold on to an elephant's trunk. I've seen that in videos, which I would try to show to you, but freaking copyright.
There are plenty of times they've demonstrated this. Back in the Second World War, after the Battle of Ramree Island in 1945, 1,000 Japanese soldiers were forced to retreat through thick mangrove swamps. Only 20 made it out alive, and for decades it was believed that hordes of saltwater crocodiles.
We've talked about Ramree Island a couple of times. The attribution of deaths specifically to crocodiles is considered to be overblown. The crocodiles would definitely have eaten dead soldiers and probably did kill quite a few soldiers. The percentage of these soldiers that got lost or they got stuck in the marshes is that were killed by crocs is considered to be overblown.
Had slaughtered them. Whoa. Can you imagine how horrendous that must have been? Admittedly, it's now believed the crocs are responsible for far less of the fallen soldiers than first thought, but I still wouldn't recommend traipsing through any mangrove swamps anytime soon. At least humans weren't about in the Cretaceous period, nearly 100 million years ago. Because crocs sure were, and as massive as the saltwater croc is today, its ancient ancestors were even bigger. Monsters such as the Deinosuchus were believed to have reached a gargantuan 39 feet, or half the length of a tennis court. Cripes, just imagine if one of those things were still around today. They used to eat
and Deinosuchus almost seems like it's almost on every episode of Seinfeld. They bring up Deinosuchus. No matter what the topic is, Deinosuchus has to make an appearance. Uh, Here we are attacking a T-Rex, of course, because Dinosuchus not only has to make an appearance, but it has to eat a dinosaur, almost always. Even though Dinosuchus' diet of dinosaurs was probably not centered on theropods, any more than like a modern Nile crocodile's diet would be centered on lions. It's a weird presentation.
Dinosaurs, so you and I wouldn't stand a chance. In fact, I don't think I'd stand a chance against anything we've seen so far. Damn, I really need to start working out again.
Maybe a
Hell
mosquito.
spiders. I'm gonna give you a arachnophobe,
Oh,
so quick heads up. The next horror I have for you is probably the creepiest creature I've ever seen. Okay, you've been warned. Meet the camel spider. These hellish things can leap 6 feet in the air, issue a blood-curdling scream while running at 25 miles an hour, and will numb the flesh of their victims before eating them alive. Or at least that's what U.S. soldiers stationed in Iraq in the early 2000s told people. According to them, the camel spider got its name from its habit of attacking camels, eating their stomachs, and laying its eggs inside of them. The soldiers even claimed that many of
no.
them had woken up to find they were covered.
And yeah, I think he's gonna acknowledge that this is all myth, but this was the bane of my early 2000s. Arguing with people about this. They claimed that the camel spiders were, as big around as a trash can lid, and that they screamed that their venom would melt your flesh, that they chased people for miles, that they chased camels, that they killed large ungulates and laid eggs inside of them, that they would lay eggs inside of you if given a chance. And arguing with people that these are not even spiders, they're just arachnids or anything like that. It was just my all day.
Covered in the things, and that they've been
Yeah.
stealthily eating them in the night. Ugh, what? Okay, I have a confession to make. You'll be relieved to know these claims are actually all baseless. The soldiers that relayed them were just spinning a long yarn for the people back home. Phew. So what are these horror things really like? For
They're not
starters, they're only
horrid.
about 5 inches long, not the horrifying length they seem to be in this pic. The soldiers were just holding two attached to each other. No, and they aren't actually spiders at all. They fall into the broader arachnid family alongside other hellish monsters like the tailless whip scorpion. Strange beasts that are
Well, they're not close related to the tail split scorpion, though. Like a close related species. But I'm glad you're going to talk about ambly pigeons, though. They don't ever get enough love.
essentially harmless even if they look utterly dread-inducing. Seriously, this looks
Ooh, Dr. Tapioca Weasel dropping the freaking memberships for 7 months. Or no, not dropping memberships, announcing his memberships for 7 months. Did you upgrade? You did. You upgraded to, you got the mantis. You got the mantis symbol. And say it's silly. Bite force is measured in psi. The total force makes more sense. Or even torque, maybe for a crocodile, especially. They spin, right? They torque because small teeth means more psi, even for the same jaw. Yeah, I get you. Um, Arachnids have 8 legs, 2 pedipalps, which are like pseudo legs. They're kind of like the cross between legs and lips. They do take a lot of forms. In scorpions, they become pincers. In ambly pigeons, they become hooky things, like you see right here on the screen. And in solifuges, which are the camel spiders that we saw before, they just look exactly like legs. They're like pseudo legs.
horrifying, but it's really just shedding its exoskeleton. The hard outer shell can't grow with the scorpion itself, so the creature has to discard it several times throughout its life. While neither of these arachnids are lethal, though, camel spiders can deliver a painful bite if they feel the need to defend themselves.
Neither are venomous either.
So don't poke them, okay? Those pincers look nasty. Now, camel
Yeah, they
spiders
can
will
bite
chase
you.
down humans, but not to take a bite out of them. They sometimes follow people to stay in the cool shadow they cast over the desert. Get your own shade, creep, while they're unlikely to cause you any lasting harm.
Yeah, when I'm in the desert, I welcome all the camel spiders to see in my shadow. You're all welcome in my shadow, little camel spiders, little solifugids. There's some adorable solifugids. Oh my gosh, let me show you an adorable solifugid. Yeah, we're gonna look it over by here. Do, 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 do. All right, here we go. And check out this cutie pie.
Hi guys, well before I rehouse my fluffy camel spider, just thought I'd show you just how big her jaws are, because she's trying to escape the enclosure and bite through the side of it.
Little puppy!
But yeah, camel spiders are famous for their huge chelicerae, and have got an incredibly powerful bite.
It looks like a little baby
If she was
bird
very
mouth,
small,
kinda.
she could probably give me quite a nasty nip still.
Just a four-pronged baby
As you
bird
can see,
mouth
it's a
instead of a
pretty cute
two-pronged
looking
one.
camel spider, just because of the fluffy legs. Well, that's
So
actually
fluffy.
the pedipalps that are the most fluffy, and I love those legs. But yeah, before we try and transfer her, I thought we may as well see if she's hungry and see if she wants to eat a cricket. Okay, so I picked one out. Let's see if she wants it.
Fluffy, fluffy, fluff. Don't be scared.
Oh, she's threatening it. I think she's a bit panicked by it.
Apparently they do best in
Too
a
big
light,
for her.
like tight container like this, which I think is weird, but it is what it is. Which is weird considering where they live. They live in like a wide open desert,
Okay,
right?
but as soon as I turned the camera off, she actually decided to grab the cricket,
Of
and
course.
is now just tearing it to pieces pretty much.
Ain't that the way it
Crickets are
always
quite
goes?
aggressive feeders when they want to be, and it's only been a couple of seconds and the cricket's already completely destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll let her enjoy a meal, and probably about an hour's time we shall transfer into the new enclosure. Okay, so she's finished a meal. Now it's time to transfer her into the new enclosure. A lot bigger,
Nice.
and with plenty of
Lots of
cork hives in there. So hopefully she will settle down nicely. Okay then guys, let's get her transferred. Okay, so I've just got her in there.
She starts
And
digging
she's
right
doing a little
away.
dig at the moment. Looks like she's found the area that's a bit damper. She might try and make a burrow in there. So yeah, as you can see, she's got plenty of space. And there's a big
I'm
cork
glad
part
she's
hide over there.
burrowing on the side though, where you can see her when she's
That
underground.
runs almost the length of the enclosure.
How far does she get down?
So
I
I'm sure
wonder.
she'll. And rather than using one of the hides, it's actually decided to build a burrow. So if we just look at the side of the enclosure.
There you go. Isn't it wonderful when they build right along the side like that?
Looks like it's actually extending the burrow at the moment. So yeah, these camel spiders definitely are burrowing species, and the key seems to be to keep some of the sand slightly damp so they can build a burrow. But yeah, looks like it's settling in pretty nicely.
Trying to find its way down though. I
How
think
that
it needs
one's
deeper substrate. So my suggestion for
before I rehouse
this enclosure would be it needs to be. I can't pause it without stuff popping up. Would be for this to be about twice as deep as what he has here, just to give the because it looks like it wants to live in a fossorial environment. So give it that, and it'll spend most of its time in this burrow. That goes with a lot of arachnids. I have this pet hole right here, another pet hole right there. This one does live in a hide, and that one makes its own tube net. So, you know, they need certain things in order to thrive. This guy needs a little bit more deeper substrate. But other than that, the enclosure looks good. The pork bark and stuff looks great. Anyway.
From them, they're still totally horrific and very much deserving of being left well alone. Is anybody else's skin getting itchy?
They're not horrific.
The toe biter.
They're cute.
It's time to head back.
And floofy, and you be stop being mean to them.
back into the murky depths of the water. Yippee! Meet the giant water bug, a swimming, flying, terrifying insect. Given their
This was the one I was just talking about earlier. It's like just having a little pet turtle.
appearance, you'd be forgiven for mistaking a wild water bug for a leaf, until it leaps over and takes a bite out of you. That's right, this creepy-looking critter is also known as a toe biter, and not because it likes to cuddle. These watery woes are hyper-aggressive and happy to attack pretty much anything that gets too close, including humans.
And they have a little good, they can fly, and yeah, they don't like to be fucked with. Mine, I let crawl on my hands and it was fine, but it didn't want to be left alone, so I didn't like handle the water or anything. But
And when a water bug has its prey secured, it has a super gruesome way of eating them. It bites down and injects enzymes through its proboscis, which decay the prey's innards. Then it slurps up the delicious broken down insides. Ew. What's worse, the victim is alive for some of this horrific ordeal. Don't worry though, this beastie can't dissolve your insides like that, but its bite is still searingly painful. So you'll want to stay away from toe biters at all costs. But if you see one that looks like this, run for the hills. It's a male bug, and that gross stuff on top of it is its eggs. In
it's not gross.
some species, the female lays her eggs on the male, who then carries them around. Other species lay their eggs on sticks in bodies of water, but in both cases, daddy will fiercely defend them. When entomologist Chris Goforth was gathering water bug eggs for her PhD in the 2000s, she experienced their intense protectiveness firsthand. Goforth was in a pond in Arizona collecting eggs from sticks when their defensive dad made a beeline up the stick Chris was holding. She whacked him off, but even after falling into the water,
she whacked him off. I'm such a child. Yeah.
He didn't give up. She had to fight off the...
They get about 2 inches, that long. About as long as the tube of lipstick, maybe a little bit longer. They're bulky as their main thing, so they're about half the width that they are long. So
the insect no less than 4 times, and once it even managed to sneak onto her neck. Yeesh. Thankfully, Chris noticed it in time and swatted it off in a blind panic before it could bite her, then ran out of the pond. Jeepers. Some say she's still running away to this day. I know I would be. Cruel.
They'd be less short of having a terrible allergic reaction, which can happen from any animal biting you. The giant water bugs are not gonna be deadly to humans.
Cobras. I hate snakes, and I really hate big ones that are capable of shooting venom at me. So giant spitting cobras are pretty much my worst nightmare. At nearly 9 feet long, they're the largest species of venom-spitting cobra on Earth. Science folk believe the huge danger noodles evolved their alarming ability to defend themselves from our early ancestors a few million years ago. So, in a way, it's all our fault. The snakes shoot their shot directly at the eyes of their enemies, savagely burning them and causing blindness if left untreated.
Just like the Dilophosaurus, right? Yeah, maybe they evolved directly from the Dilophosaurus from Jurassic Park. But yeah, spitting cobras, they have, I've seen these in person at the St. Louis Zoo. They're pretty massive. And actually, there was a mess on the glass from them spitting at the visitor.
They can fire from many feet away, but that doesn't stop them going in close for a juicy bite either. If this big old boy does decide to bite its venom into your system, it'll rapidly cause the tissue around the bite to die, leading to disfigurement and potentially much worse. Despite this, snake charmers around the world absolutely love to use cobras in their routines. Enough accidents occur with non-spitting cobras. Imagine how much worse things could get if they used one of these guys. I wouldn't put it past that crazy bunch either. One such charmer met his untimely demise back in 2018 after being bitten by a spitting cobra he was trying to capture in Malaysia. The venom took just 4 days to take full hold, and once it had, there was tragically no more that could be done.
The thing about snake charmers, maybe we should cover this at some point in CryptoCorner, is that snakes aren't actually following the music or hypnotized by the music. They're following the flute, which, as long as they keep it moving, the snake won't strike because it can't zero in on it. It can't lock in on where it wants to strike at. So it rears up in an aggressive, defensive manner, but it doesn't know how to strike because you keep bobbing and weaving. Just the same way that a mongoose or a cat can outflank a snake and just a cobra not only destroy it. Like a house cat has no problems taking down a 6-foot cobra.
Man, that's another animal I'm taking firmly off my must-cuddle list.
So beautiful, though.
Deadly dragons. Rinca Island in Indonesia is famed for being chock full of huge Komodo dragons. Usually, though, they stay outside the buildings. Back in 2009, a tour guide named Mayan entered his office on the island and took a seat at his desk. When he glanced down, however, a cold sweat ran down his brow. Curled beside his legs was a colossal Komodo. These beasts are the largest lizards in the world, able to reach a seriously intimidating 10 feet in length. They're strong, vicious, and very venomous. As well as being incredibly painful, a single bite from a dragon can paralyze you and cause rapid, debilitating blood loss. From there, they'd simply wait for you to collapse before chowing down. Truly unsettling, right?
And they mob feed on you. They mob attack you. So they're not like a pack, but they do like attack in a group. Crocodile can do the same thing. It's horrifying. I can't imagine seeing a mob of Komodo dragons coming at me.
While Komodos are also capable of swallowing large animals like deer whole. Yep, if something looks a little big for them, they won't bother chewing it up into smaller chunks. Oh no, they're far more likely to spend 20 minutes forcing the paralyzed animal down their throat by slamming it against a tree. Oh man. Essentially, you really wouldn't want one underneath your desk. Wait, what happened to old man then? Well, horrified, he pulled his legs back from the beast, but one of them caught on something and the dragon lunged, chomping down on it. The tour guide screamed for help and managed to kick the giant lizard off of him as his colleagues arrived. But the smell of his blood had attracted a horde of other nearby Komodos. Seriously? His co-workers frantically rushed him out of the building and raced across the island, dodging and running from the frenzied Komodo dragons as they went. Miraculously, they made it to the dock and leapt onto a boat without any further injuries. Then they took man to a nearby hospital where he got the treatment he needed. It still took around 6 months for him to fully recover from his harrowing ordeal, though. Jeez, Komodo? More like Komo-no? Oh jeez, oh why? Buzzkills. Everyone's tired of hearing about 2020's COVID-19 outbreak by now. But there was another big news story that year that still gives me the shivers. The discovery of northern giant hornets, once known as murder hornets, in Washington state in the U.S. The huge bugs are thought to have come to the states by ship, and they're supremely dangerous. Compared to honeybees, the hornets can deliver a devastating 28 times more venom in a single sting. So if you get stung by a whole swarm of these guys, well, you can wave bye-bye to tomorrow. Understandably, Americans were pretty darn panicked then to find out the vicious vespids were on home ground. American actress Rose McGowan got stung in 2021 and suffered from immense pain, numbness, a rapid heart rate, and even fuzzy vision. Thankfully, she was fine in the end. It's actually very rare for
Am I muted again? Of course I am. I had to cough. Yeah. Sounds like she had a bad allergic reaction maybe to it.
sting to cause anything other than temporary symptoms unless you're allergic. What's more, multiple nests had been found and destroyed by the end of 2021, and there were no new sightings in Washington across the whole of 2022. So the U.S. might just have dodged a bullet there. If you do want
I think that you don't really have to worry about these unless you're a honeybee, and that's the reason they're called murder hornets, because they murder honeybee hives. They go and just mass execute them and eat the bees, eat the larvae, eat the honey. So that's what the threat of the northern Asian hornet is, or I guess they just call it the northern hornet now. But that's the real threat that it causes is to agriculture, not the actual people. You're not in danger of these animals getting you. I mean, yeah, things happen, but things happen. They're not out to get you.
to end up coming across one of the insidious insects, though, keep well away. Terrifying tapeworms. Of all the horrible beasts that we've discussed so far, there's at least one small solace you can take. They don't squirm around inside your body. Unlike tapeworms. Tapeworms are horrid little things that can be contracted by eating undercooked meats. If a cow eats grass with tapeworm eggs on it, they'll hatch in its intestines as larvae before moving through the bloodstream to the muscles. There they form hardy cysts. These cysts are killed by cooking the infected meat thoroughly, but if you eat infected beef without cooking it properly, well, you'll get infected. After being ingested, the cyst will develop into a fully fledged tapeworm and live.
It's like people talk about how they like their meat like rare, like homie. Just know the risks you take by eating your food that way.
Inside your intestines, feeding on nutrients that should be going to your body. Oh, that's beyond disturbing. It could be much more upsetting, though. In the UK back in 2012, a man was admitted to hospital after suffering from 4 years of headaches. On top of a painful cranium, he'd also been experiencing strange smells, memory flashbacks, and even seizures. So what was wrong with him? Well, doctors found out a rare ribbon-shaped tapeworm had made its way into his brain. Yuck. It's believed that whilst on a trip to China, the man probably ingested some infected meat, but rather than stay in his gut, the worm had somehow furrowed all the way.
I'm guessing it was probably a seafood, though. Wouldn't think that this was from beef. Ribbon worm. I'm thinking he probably had seafood in Japan.
To his brain. Understandably, this caused some rather wild symptoms. The invasive houseguest was eventually removed, but the man apparently still suffers residual problems. Ugh.
Oh yeah, once one of them burrows into your brain, I'm sure that there's permanent permanent issues moving forward.
That'd be a lesson to always cook your food, people. Funnel web fear. Ah, Australia. The most
That
beautiful
was
place on
not
earth.
the funnel web to fear. That was the friendly little funnel web that's not related to these funnel webs at all.
That I never want to visit. Partly because it's home to some of the most venomous, aggressive spiders of them all, Australian funnel webs. These guys will attack anything that gets too close, and the huge fangs on one particular
That's a real
species, the
funnel
Sydney
web.
funnel web, are so strong they can pierce leather. Meaning, yes, they can nip right through your shoes. So what happens if you do get bitten through your sick kicks? Well, the venom can cause extreme symptoms just minutes after entering the bloodstream. I'm talking vomiting, spasms, confusion, heart palpitations, and even brain swelling.
This is the only species of spider that I actually advocate as a real and present danger to humans. All the rest of the species that are considered dangerous to humans, the danger they pose is freaking super overblown and overhyped. Due to the venom of this particular species, the habits that it has, and behaviors, I can only advise that these be avoided. So, of the animals on this list so far, this is one that I actually agree that this should be avoided at all costs.
Without swift treatment, Sydney funnel web bites can even be lethal. Yeesh. Australian native Ian Beard had a spine-chilling encounter with one of the spooky spiders in 2020. His drain needed to be cleaned out, so he took a small shovel and stuck his arm down it to dig up whatever was clogging it. Bit of a ballsy move, but apparently he'd done it hundreds of times before. That day, however, was different. Suddenly, he felt a sharp shooting pain on his finger and yanked his arm out, to be greeted by a horrifying sight. You guessed it, there was a funnel web spider on it. His wife immediately called an ambulance, which rushed Ian to hospital within 20 minutes. It's a good job, too. Although his condition was swiftly deteriorating, the antivenom was administered on time to save Ian's life. Damn. After the traumatic ordeal, a friend gave him some invaluable advice. Beardy, next time you're in the garden, put on some bloody gloves. Well said.
Yeah.
On that note, I think I've had about enough horrifying animals for one day. Which one made your skin crawl the most? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
All right, so that was BMA's horrifying animals you should avoid at all costs. What did you guys think of that? Does it were these something to be avoided? Were these all horrifying to you? I didn't find most of them horrifying at all. Obviously, tapeworms aren't appealing to me, but everything else on this list, I'd have a hard time. Well, mosquitoes aren't appealing to me either, honestly, but they are delicious for my spider friends. So, I mean, having that. Blaster Master, I strongly disagree. Blaster Master says brown recluse are pretty aggressive. I've been chased across the room by them and dropped from stealing them. I grew up in a house from 1992 to I was going to say about 2004 with they had a brown recluse infestation the whole time I lived there. The whole time my whole family's lived there. No one's ever been bothered by them. I've actually caught them with ease and never had any trouble catching them. If I see them, and in general, I don't even mess with them, but because they're just doing their brown recluse thing. But we've never had any problems with them. So I mean, that's my experience with them here in the Midwest. It was in Missouri, right in the middle of the Black Widow, or not Black Widow, the brown recluse range. So that's just my experience, though. Anyway, thank you for sticking around for Sci Fails, where we looked at some scary animals again. We will be back next week with something weird. But yeah, please remember to be kind. Take care. We'll see you next time. All right, live from the Hive Chat. Don't go anywhere. We got one more segment of the show to go. Okay, so it's going to be fun. It's going to be actually exciting stuff. So I'll be right back with you. All right, welcome back, my beauties and bees, to another episode of HiveSci. We got some eco news that is super awesome, and I'm excited to bring it to you. So hang on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen, because we are going to be looking at a rare mammal. But first, another organism in this ecological niche came to my attention yesterday. I just have to show you guys this adorable behavior of the
welcome back, my beauties
of
and
the
bees.
the kiwi here. So check this out. One more time. Ah, anyway, that's a kiwi. They sound like a screaming demon, but that's not the figure that we're looking at today. But the figure we're looking at today does, in fact, look a lot like a kiwi. Look at this guy. So it's the mammal version of the kiwi. Fills the same ecological niche on a different island. On tropical islands, there is usually an insectivorous critter that looks about this size, with a long proboscis, little beady eyes, and a nocturnal habit, maybe claws for digging in the dirt. So that's what we're looking at today. And this one is sort of a long lost creature from that ecological niche. And let's read about it. Found at last, a bizarre egg-laying mammal, finally rediscovered after 60 years. More than 60 years after it was last recorded, an expedition team has rediscovered an iconic egg-laying mammal with one of the most unexplored regions of the world. Attenborough's long-beaked echidna, named after the famed broadcaster Sir David Attenborough, was captured for the first time in photos and video footage using a remote trail cams set up in the Cyclops Mountains of Indonesia's Papua province. Alongside the Echidna's rediscovery, the expedition, a partnership between the University of Oxford, Indonesian NGO, Yayasan Pelayanan Papa Neta, or Yapaneta, yeah, or, so how would that be? Yapinda, I guess. Uh, UNCEN and a proper BBKSDA. Lots of abbreviations there. And the National Research and Innovation Agency of Indonesia, BRIN. Wild made many other remarkable finds. These include Myron honeyeater, a bird lost to science since 2008, an entirely new genus of tree-dwelling shrimp. Tree-dwelling shrimp, guys. Keep up. Countless new species of insects and a previously unknown cave system. This was despite the difficulties posed by extremely inhospitable terrain, including venomous animals, blood-sucking leeches, malaria, earthquakes, and exhausting heat. One of the world's most unusual animals finally caught on film. Recorded by science only in 1961, Attenborough's long-beaked echidna is a monotreme, an evolutionary distinct group of egg-laying mammals that include the platypus. This echidna species is so special because it is one of only 5 remaining species of monotreme. The sole guardians of this remarkable branch of the tree of life. Echidnas are notoriously difficult to find since they are nocturnal, live in burrows, and tend to be very shy. Attenborough's long-beaked echidna has never been recorded anywhere outside the Cyclops Mountains and is currently classified as critically endangered on the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species. To give themselves the best chance of finding one, the team deployed over 80 trail cams, making multiple ascents of the mountains and climbing more than 11,000 meters, more than the height of Everest, in the process. For almost the entire 4 weeks the team spent in the forest, the camera recorded no sign of the echidna. On the last day, with the last image on the final memory card, the team obtained their shot of the elusive mammal. The first ever photograph of the Attenborough's echidna, the identification of the species was later confirmed by Professor Christopher Helgen, mammologist and chief scientist and director of the Australian Museum Research Institute, AMRI. Dr. James Kimpton, Department of Biology, University of Oxford, said the discovery is the result of a lot of hard work and over 3.5 years of planning. A key reason why we succeeded is because, with the help of YAPPENDA, we have spent half a year building a relationship with the community of Yangtze Sapari, a village that on the north coast of the Cyclops Mountains. The trust between us was the bedrock of our success because they shared with us the known knowledge to navigate these treacherous mountains. It even allowed us to research on lands that have never felt the tread of human feet. A treasure trove of discoveries. Alongside uh, searching for the echidna, the expedition carried out the first comprehensive assessment of invertebrates, reptiles, amphibians, and mammal life in the Cyclops Mountains. With the support of local guides in the expedition team, the scientists were able to create makeshift labs in the heart of the jungle with benches and desks made from forest branches and vines. By combining scientific techniques with Wappen team members' experience and knowledge of the forest, the team made a wealth of new discoveries. These include several dozen insect species completely new to science and the rediscovery of the Mayar's honey eater, a bird lost to science since 2008 and named after famed evolutionary biologist Ernst Mayr. An extraordinary finding was the entirely new genus of ground and tree dwelling shrimp. These were quite shocking to discover with shrimp in the heart of the forest because it is a remarkable departure from the typical seaside habitat for these animals. Dr. Leonidas Romanos Davraglu, a Levenhulme Trust postdoctoral fellow at the Oxford University Museum of Natural History, lead entomologist for the expedition. We believe that the high level of rainfall in the Cyclops Mountains means the humidity is great enough for these creatures to live entirely on land. The team also revealed a treasure trove of underground species, including blind spiders, blind harvestmen, and whip scorpions, a whip scorpion, all new to science in a previously unexplored cave system. This astonishing discovery was made on one of the sacred peaks above Yangtze Sapari, where the team had been given special permission to do research. People rarely tread here, and the striking cave system was chanced upon when one team member fell through a moss covered entrance. A beautiful but dangerous land. The extremely challenging and at times life threatening conditions were at the background of these discoveries. During one of the trips to the cave system, a sudden earthquake forced the team to evacuate. Dr. Davroglu Devranoglu, I guess I'm going to keep butchering your name, sorry, friend, broke his arm in two places. One member contracted malaria, and another had a leech attached to his eye for a day and a half before it was finally removed at a hospital. Throughout the expedition, members were beset by biting mosquitoes and ticks and faced constant danger from venomous snakes and spiders. Making any progress through the jungle was a slow and exhausting process, with the team sometimes having to cut paths where no humans had ever been before. Though some might describe the Cyclops as a green hell, I think the landscape is magical and that once enchanting and dangerous, like something out of a Tolkien book, said Dr. Kempton. It's an environment, the camaraderie between the expedition members was fantastic, and everyone helping to keep up morale. In the evening, we exchanged stories around the fire, all while surrounded by hoots and peeps of frogs. An enduring legacy. Rediscovering the echidna is the is only the beginning of the expedition's mission. Attenborough's long-beaked echidna is the flagship animal of the Cyclops Mountains and a symbol of its extraordinary biodiversity. The team hope that its rediscovery will help bring attention to the conservation needs of the Cyclops of Indonesian New Guinea and more generally, and they are committed to supporting the long-term monitoring of the echidna. Key to this work is the NGO YAPPENDA, whose mission is to protect the natural environment of Indonesia, New Guinea through empowerment of indigenous Wapens. As part of the expedition team, members of Yapinda helped train 6 students from UNCEN in biodiversity survey and camera trapping during the expedition. With the team having only sorted a fraction of the material collected in the expedition, they expect the coming months to yield even more new species. The intention is to name many of these after the Pwapan members of the expedition. Besides the animal specimens, the team collected over 70 kilograms of rock samples for geological analysis, which was led by the expedition's chief geologist, Max Webb, of Royal Holloway University in London. These can help in many ways, or these help answer many questions about how and when the Cyclops Mountains originally formed. The mountains are believed to have formed when the island arc in the Pacific collided with the New Guinea mainland about 10 million years ago. Combined with the biological findings, the geological work will help the team understand how the extraordinary biodiversity of the Cyclops came to be. Yeah. So, pretty cool. There's a short little video. We're going to watch this in like 30 seconds, and then we'll go up. Oh, full screen's unavailable. Okay. There it is. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. So that's a little slice of eco news for your Hive side. I actually did have something else on the panel for today. Do I have time for that? Maybe. No, we'll do that next time. We'll do that next time. So, yeah, I have something else that we're going to cover, but it'll be for next week. It's fine, because we're already half an hour over, or now we're at 3 hours. That's where I wanted to be. All right. So please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time. All right. Live from the Hive audience. Thank you so much for sticking around with me. It's been a pretty fun show. We had we had the werewolf at the beginning, then we had some allegedly scary animals, and then we wrapped up with an echidna being rediscovered after 60 years. So, pretty fun show. I'm glad you were all here for it. Make sure you like and hit the thumbs up button down below. Leave a comment. Tell me which segments you like best in the show today. I'm trying to streamline my content more to aim towards what people want to see. So I love Cryptic Corner, but if you guys love sci-fails more, then I can focus more energy on that. Or if you guys love what we do in Hive Sci with Paleo Peak, Eco News, and Strange Science and all that stuff, if you like that better, let me know so we can make that a thing that happens more heavily on the show. But as I always say, please remember to be kind. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Let's